Why can't I find the right word right now? Okay, we all know that the minister is on special leave. So the minister of police is on special leave. So he'll be giving evidence at the commission later on today. That evidence expected to start at 2. Okay, let's take a quick break and then I'm back with your calls.
SAFM supports a litter-free South Africa. Play your part in keeping our surroundings and environment clean. SAFM, leading the conversation.
This week on BBC Primetime, watching TV could make you a winner. It's the BBC Primetime Watch and Win competition. Just tune into your BBC Primetime shows, answer a few simple questions on S3's TikTok account, and you could walk away with awesome prizes. From thrilling dramas to jaw-dropping reality shows, the more you watch, the more chances you have to win. Watch, answer, win. Only on BBC Primetime. Airs weeknights 9 to 11 p.m. on S3. Your couch just became the best seat in the game. Yes.
You could spend 10 minutes waiting for the microwave to beep. Or get a 10-minute quote from Outsurance that could save you thousands on your car insurance. For his 2024 Suzuki Jimny, 55-year-old Stefan now pays only 611 Rand a month. And for her 2024 Kia Sonet, 31-year-old Palisa pays just 926 Rand a month. Ready to get more out of your car insurance? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. Make summer even more extra with free gifts from Vodacom, like the Oppo Find X9 Pro for just 1,399 per month over 36 months on a 6 gig red core plan. Comes with a wireless charger, Oppo Watch X2, 80-watt charger, magnetic phone case, and Oppo Care worth 18,999 on us. Plus, get 5 gigs YouTube data for 3 months. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
Hashtag SAFM Talking Point.
All right, you're listening to the Talking Point, your national roundtable. So let's get straight then into your calls this morning. Ronald, you're calling from Midrand. Good morning, Ronald.
Good morning, Katie. How are you and the listeners?
Yes, sir, we're doing well. Mm.
South Africa has got talent in terms of men and women, really sophisticated They want the just people that they can able and lose the millions.
Mm.
Even when she sees loan, it's an interest in the country military.
Yeah.
Look at the most you can you can be forgiven.
Mm.
What are the two officials for men? And the men she needs to try. The women who accuse corrupting people. This is the answer going to to people. Yes,
Yeah.
you can these bitches. Remember, this is what in English we call a tip of one. What more the day
Mm.
they will go to these people. Leadership to deploy people. American, look at the minister. How can you be a minister with Bangkok? You know, man. Then you have to be a teacher. Lord, this thing is this thing. specifically. That's minute.
Yeah, Ronald, and I guess for me, part of what her demeanor reveals is that this is likely how she handled herself when
Exactly.
applying herself in her work. When she was
Exactly.
asked about making findings about one of the employees and clearing them of the allegations against them, despite the fact that there was a report that confirmed these allegations. She says that she cleared the individual without having read the report.
Just like that. Just like that.
How? How?
They were in charge of the law. Because you know these people, and they were appointed by the mayor of the ANC.
Yeah,
In the city that is considered by young men and women who can spend our country. And you go for that one.
yeah,
And you know the crisis that is spending their country. So where were we expecting to be created under the school? Where were we expecting to be created under these people?
sure.
When the delivery this is
No,
it makes us angry every day.
yeah.
Very angry.
Ronald, I hear that frustration, and I think rightfully so. Rightfully so. Thomas, you're in Newcastle. Good morning.
Right? Yeah, what can you say? None of the people have no self-respect because there is no emotion. People are not able to think, okay, I may have taken money. How to out of this dilemma without one teaching other guys to be this opportunity to others.
Thomas,
So
let me do this. I'm going to ask the team to call you back because that connection to you isn't great. So while they do that, let me go to Butana in Rosebank. Butana, good morning.
my sister, good morning. It is so disgraceful. It is so disgraceful to kind of behavior. And no reflection of leaders preparing for a person opportunity. Rapidly. Remember they say when even you can put a rap lipstick in a kid, hey, what a shame. What is it that we have done to deserve this kind of people? That is why the forensic of murder.
Yeah, yeah. And
What a shame, Jesse.
and Butana, you have to ask yourself why she too needed as many bodyguards as she did. I think she said yesterday that she was assigned about 11 people to
Yes.
take care of her. Why does anybody need 11
The
bodyguards?
billion have been siphoned out of that municipality. And I've been keeping saying, where is the municipal manager? Where is the ANC subject us to this kind of people? Why? Remember, as I'm saying, the interview, let me see if you he said the CFO has been put together, put the person. He said only, remember the Minister of Higher Education, the man he disrespected not the ANC. They put that. It's such a strength to listen to. So, Julia,
Mkonazi. Yeah, but Butana, why must it take the commission advising that she must be investigated and potentially prosecuted? Should not should that not have been happening anyway, right?
it should have happened
Because
like this.
when council sits and it reflects on her tenure, and perhaps this speaks to the level at which the system is broken, because even the levers that are supposed to provide accountability don't do that. Because at worst, these matters coming before council were supposed to be a clear indication of the lack of capacity when it comes to this individual in executing their role and oversight responsibilities. But in the instead, that doesn't happen. And that's part of the problem. How can council justify the fact that this individual was in that position and remained in that position in spite of all of these things?
They will tell us that they didn't see that. They will say, "It didn't collapse. Look at iPad. There's no iPad there. Look at the police. My sister, in heaven, rampant TV. Who's going to prosecute them? It's so heartbreaking to see that it is so disheartening. I don't know what to say.
Or
From to our children.
yeah, okay, all right, Butana, let's leave it there. Butana out in Rosebank, and there is that sense of, you know, your own self-respect, right? Your family is watching this, your relatives are watching this. Why is there no level of I must put my best foot forward? Thomas, you're in Newcastle, you're back on the line.
Thank you very much, State. I put in this guy. I will not take away or something like that. He's guilty of something. He's the one whom when they were being interviewed for the guys that told the if he was saying Imam, they would have been talking to her. And how we figure out what that is? Because this is the kind of a person who play ignorant or prosecutor. We don't even have to wait for the process. If we wait for the process, we'll be playing the right. Because remember, sometimes we knew that people were guilty, but because some people were covering them, then they would do the process. And the lawyers knew how to manipulate the law. Right now, we need people who are not going to be manipulated. The prosecution system no longer manipulated. In a way, in places for the government of national unity, because this is some of the reasons why things are happening in the ANC government, or let me not say the ANC government, the ANC leaders still get to move and maintain, and we are getting the leadership. Don't know how.
Yeah, look, all of this really couldn't be more timely because it's happening on the eve of a local government election that will take place sometime between November 2026 and January 2027. And these are the things that we need to think about, South Africa. These are the things that we need to think about. And ultimately, the enrichment, self-enrichment, is self-enrichment. So communities are suffering because people want to enrich themselves. At some point, it has to come to an end. We simply just have to say enough and not in our names. It's just after 9:30. We'll take you to the news desk, and then on the other side of that, we're back at the commission.
Morning in the headlines. Two City of Cape Town law enforcement officers attached to the metal theft unit have been arrested for alleged corruption, extortion and business robbery. They were arrested this morning. Resistance is mounting against the National Treasury's proposed 20% national tax on online gambling. There's widespread criticism, especially from licensed operators, who say it would lead to the closure of businesses and ultimately job losses. And Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero is leading a service delivery operation to Mayfair today. The operation is part of the city's ongoing effort to address the delivery of basic services such as water and sanitation. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Kathy Motlatlana on SAFM.
Guide you so that we can follow. We can follow.
Okay, it was under my.
Is that what you deal with at paragraph 50 and in particular 50.2 at page 9 of your statement?
Let me confirm.
Okay, yes.
Yes, 50.2.
Okay.
Yeah. Here I spoke about 2 accidents in which the chief of police was involved in and under the influence of alcohol, and nothing seems to have actually happened to him. So the video will demonstrate that indeed there was also a protest from many members of the Metro Police, and the video will also demonstrate that the department has a lot of issues. And the video will also demonstrate how Chief was protected from being investigated on this one. Thank you.
My apologies. We're ready to run the video. It has on the clock 1 minute, 28 seconds. I propose that we allow it to run to the end. And then I'll invite you to speak to it. Then we'll take some questions. Is that in order?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Protest in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, these Ekurhuleni law enforcers adamant that they must be heard. Officers accuse their managers of protecting the chief of police, who they claim was involved in 2 drunk driving car crashes.
We're going to demand the suspension of Mtatema PA because he was involved in an accident, and then there should be an investigation conducted, and then he should be subjected to a disciplinary hearing. That is the first issue. The second issue is that our members in the VIP protection, they get the allowance of 40,000 each member on top of their salaries, that which amounts them to 880,000 per annum. So we want to know the name of the allowance, because on the allowance issue, there should be a central bargaining committee whereby there's SALGA, organized labor, then name of the allowance. If they agree, then it should be brought into a collective agreement.
The city says it will investigate the issues raised in the memorandum.
We have got a process, an administrative process in the city, which will see this memorandum be written there. Every issue shall then detailed look into, and a response will be given. Look, all allegations that are brought forward, they are only there to be investigated and investigated thorough.
Mahlako Komani, SABC News, Germiston.
Thank you. That is the totality of the clip you wanted shown.
Correct.
Okay, you gave preliminary remarks before we played it. Now that it's been played, is there anything you'd like to add before we engage on what appears there?
Thank you. The person who is taking the memorandum and who spoke there, he was the political head responsible for EMPD. They are called members of the mayoral committee. responsible for different portfolios. By then, he was in charge of EMPD.
Okay. Now, my take, and I may have missed one or two things from the clip, is that the grievances by members of the EMPD related to Chief Mapie's driving incidents or accidents, for which they contend he was not brought to book for. And the second relates to the allowance, what they call an allowance issue. Now, we are more or less familiar with the first. Are you able to shed light on what the second entailed?
The second entails the members of the VIP, where their structure was actually created and they were appointed on a different scale.
Are you able to speak to that latter point?
To that?
Are you able to speak to that, precisely that VIP allowance point?
Well, for me, it's an operational issue because VIP protectors, they are regulations or guidelines stipulated that you should have something in writing, a complaint in writing, that this person has done this, 1, 2, 3, and you need to investigate. While investigating, you put that person on precautionary suspension, but through the approval of council. I can't just do it as an individual or as an accounting officer, because he was appointed as Section 56, he reports to council. And I indicated yesterday that my hands were very tight because he's been protected politically throughout. If the MMC took the memorandum and he decided not to submit it to me, as he indicated that he's going to submit it to the administration to do proper investigation, so forth and so forth, my hands are tight, and my hands were tight then.
Let me ask this directly, and it flows from what my colleague, Commissioner Kumalo, has asked. Did you, at the interviews for the extension, did you specifically raise the issues that Commissioner Khumalo is referring to? Sexual harassment, improper sexual relationships, rapes, fathering many children with junior officers. Did you specifically raise those issues at the interview?
I raised few issues. I don't recall which ones I raised, but obviously, if you raise issues like they would say to you, or they said, well, the chief of police is, and we don't have evidence of what you are saying. And this has been the practice. But I was a bit reluctant because I've been working in the department, working in the city, and I know exactly what was happening. Like I said, we are three. And as a female, you want to advocate that females are being harassed in the department, sexually harassed in the department, and you are sitting with 4 males. You are sitting with 4 males. As an accounting officer, yes, I did raise issues, Commissioner.
You say you did raise issues, but you don't remember what you raised. These issues aren't the normal run-of-the-mill cases. These were very serious issues. Sexual harassment, rape, and the others that have been mentioned, in fact, that you have mentioned. Those are serious issues. There is no way you would not remember if you specifically raised them at the interview. Did you?
I'm saying I raised the issue of sexual harassment of female, the allegations. That's what I raised. But I don't remember other issues that I raised, whether I raised the issue of the accident, because the memorandum was never brought to my attention.
And why would you have singled out sexual harassment if there were even allegations, according to you, allegations of rape? Why would you have singled out sexual harassment?
The rape is a new case that was actually brought to the attention of the city now during the sexual harassment case of the victim.
Just repeat, I didn't quite get the point you were making about you are one woman and there are 3 men. You said something about being able to raise issues of this nature in that context. I didn't quite get the point you were making. Can you please articulate that point more clearly?
I have raised the issue that I have concern that these things are happening in the department.
Just repeat, please.
I have raised the point about sexual harassment allegations within the department, and Chief being one of them. But the other issues that I raised there, to be honest, but I do not recall, but definitely I did raise the issue.
Do matters like those get recorded somewhere? Would there be a record of what you raised at those interviews somewhere within the municipality?
Well, the interviews are not recorded. We write down about the scoring and how the interview they are actually performing. That is the purpose of the interview. But there's no space where
is that good governance, though? Because there's a lot of issues usually arise out of what took place at interviews. Is it good governance not to record? And one example of the sort of issues that do arise is, for example, litigation around who was appointed and who was not appointed. Is it good governance not to record?
It's not.
And why under your administration wasn't there recording if you accept that it's not good governance not to?
Interviewing processes are run by HR department. They bring the files to us, and the forms are actually structured in such a manner that we only record the process and the response of the candidates that are being interviewed.
You
But there is no space where you can write your objection as a member of the panel.
When you say you get what comes from HR, it sounds to me like you are saying it's HR's fault. And if my understanding is correct, you are the head, you are the administrative head, the executive head, in fact. So you can correct what HR is doing wrong, can't you? So
I take your point, Commissioner.
Yeah, all right. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mashazi, this video is in 2020. Is that correct, or is it
correct,
recent?
Commissioner?
I beg your pardon?
Correct.
Yes. And when you do the interview in 2022, you are aware of this incident or these complaints?
Correct, Commissioner.
And did you raise them in the panel with Chief Mapia?
This particular one, I do not recall.
You don't recall whether you raised it?
Yeah, I don't recall. I only recall the sexual harassment one.
You raised the sexual harassment in that interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you record your concerns in your form that you complete?
I didn't.
You did not?
Yes.
So as matters stand, the appointing authority, which is council, doesn't know that you raised this issue in the panel because you didn't write it down?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. Did you dissent in the panel? Because you're saying it's a panel appointment. Did you dissent from the majority decision in the panel? And before you answer, I would like to propose to you that and I can put this to you, that experience is that people do record in their panels, in their panel discussion, they do record concerns about candidates. Did you record your dissension from the decision to recommend him?
I didn't.
You did not. So council never came to know that you're unhappy that he be appointed to the position because of the allegations that you're now making before us. Council
Yes.
never came to know about it.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not council's fault that chief got to be appointed in 2022 for another 5 years.
Correct.
You can't blame councillors for that.
Correct.
All right, thank you. And you say that you could not discipline him as his superior because there was no complaint. But you're aware of these allegations of motor vehicle destruction, drinking or driving under the influence of alcohol. You're aware of this video where these allegations are being made against him. Why did you not lodge a complaint as his superior, a written complaint against him? You know the facts. You know the facts. You know they are disciplinable facts, and they include destruction of council property, according to you. Why did you not lay a complaint in writing?
In writing
to the council?
To the council.
Unless you're telling us that he's not disciplinable because he's head of police and you are his manager. Unless you're telling us that, which is not what you've said. You've said the authority lies with council. You couldn't initiate without council approval. So these allegations must land before the council for the council to authorize, right, an investigation and disciplinary action. You say to us you couldn't, there was nothing, there was no written complaint, but only you could lay a complaint because you're his superior and you know these allegations against him. Why did you not lay a complaint?
Correct. I did not lay the complaint. Remember, I've explained that that memorandum from the MMC did not reach my office. And this video, I just got it like last night because people could see that I'm struggling I don't have information, I don't have evidence. I just got it last night. That's why we submitted this morning to the commission.
No, it can be. You were city manager in 2020 already. You were city manager. There's a public, very public protest, as we see in this video. So you know that there's allegations that he's destroyed company property. You know that. You know that there's allegations that you drove under the influence a motor vehicle of the council. So you know that in 2020 as city manager, so it's not video dependent. It is fact. What do you know in 2020? You've just confirmed you were aware of this in 2020, of this conduct. My question is, why did you not lay a complaint? Because your answer is, I couldn't discipline him because there was no written complaint. But you're the city manager, he's superior. Why did you not lay a complaint?
Let me concede that I failed to discipline the chief of police and I failed to do an oversight on him as an HOD.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Silla.
Thank you, Commissioner. Perhaps the logical place to start would be to tag onto what the commissioners have raised. And my first question, and I think you touched on it slightly, I think in response to Commissioner Baloi's question, what exactly was the purpose of you sharing this particular clip with the video? What were you intending to achieve?
It was to support my evidence on 50.2 that he has indeed defeated the ends of justice.
Okay,
and
so
I have summarized by saying I failed to take action against him, and I also failed to do proper oversight over him.
now, you, I think in the course of one of your responses indicated that he was politically protected, and I think you spoke of this particular incident as to why he was not dealt with, and you explained it away by saying he was politically protected. Did I understand you correctly?
Correct.
What does that mean? And what is the effect of being politically protected?
The effect of that is that as an accounting officer, there's really little you can do. You'll see when we go to question 13, how I struggled to present the report to the executive, for the executive to consider the report on his suspension.
Now, if you can recall, over the course of your tenure as city manager and Chief Mapie as chief of police, how many times have you suspended him?
Suspended, Chief?
Come again?
It's once. He was suspended. He's suspended. He's on his first suspension.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I just want to know how many times you have subjected him to a suspension.
3.
Yes.
It's only once.
It's only once.
Yeah, because there was concrete report and concrete evidence from the victim.
Indeed, and I do appreciate that you may have challenges in acting in the absence of concrete evidence. I'm more interested in you comparing the latest suspension and the basis and what you call concrete evidence to support the latest suspension with what is depicted in that clip. Why couldn't you suspend him there? What was missing at that time? And why didn't you exercise your power to suspend him and initiate a disciplinary process?
Thanks, Commissioner. I do not want to sound like a broken record and repeat myself of the answers I've given about that video. I've indicated that that video, I only received it last night. And I indicated at the beginning of the commission that we are struggling to get information from the city. And I have also indicated that the MMC, the political head of that department, never submitted the memorandum or the issues that were raised by these police officers.
Okay, so you only learned last night that in 2020, a memorandum covering the issues that you address in part at paragraph 50.2 was submitted to the city. You only learned that last night.
Last night, I got evidence of the allegations I'm making on section 50.2.
Yes, I appreciate
I've
that.
been knowing that there are these accidents, but I do not have evidence. And I wanted to play this video to show you that indeed he defeated the ends of justice. And the officers are protesting there about the accidents.
I appreciate that you call it evidence. My question really was about when you acquired knowledge of the existence of the memorandum submitted by those members of the EMPD that we just saw on the clip to the city. When did you become aware of that particular fact? Not when did you see it actually happen on TV? When did you become aware of it?
Well, officers informally, they would say a chief was involved in this accident, a chief was this, and there was no formal complaint. But now, since there is this commission and there is this video and also this allegation 50.2, we have gathered a lot of information and we are getting statements and police case numbers to support the notion that he has indeed defeated the ends of justice.
Dr. Mashazi, there is no statement you can obtain that can help you answer my question. My question relates to when you acquired personal knowledge of the existence of the memorandum. You accept that there is no statement that can be tendered for that purpose. So can I have an answer to that question, please, if you don't mind?
Can I indicate that I've answered that question?
No, you
and
haven't.
accepted that I failed to deal with Chief in terms of his misconduct.
Is the third time you avoid that question? Do you
I'm
don't
not
intend to
avoid-
answer it? When you acquired knowledge of the existence of the memorandum, is it so difficult to answer or you choose not to answer it? I don't want to waste the commissioner's time. If you don't want to answer it, please state so for the record and I'll pass on.
I'm saying I've answered that I have failed to action consequence management on the part of Chief in terms of this misconduct, and I have failed to do oversight on him.
I don't know what
I
you've
have
just said.
considered-
What you've just said, I don't know what it's responding to. I guess you wanted to address that yourself to the commissioners about that. For whatever it's worth, is on record. If you do accept responsibility in that context, what is the purpose then of bringing the allegations reflected in 50.2 to this commission, when you are fully appreciative of your own failings? But you do not disclose those failings at the time you make these allegations. It is until you are pushed, almost on the second day of your testimony, that you make the concession. Why is that?
The importance is for me, as I indicated, to support my allegations that he indeed defeated the ends of justice and he was involved in 2 accidents where he was driving under the influence of alcohol.
But that is not evidence of what you contend. That is evidence that members of EMPD protested in relation to the allegations. It's not evidence of the allegations themselves. Do you accept? And you didn't tender that for the purpose.
Yeah, thank you. Let me respond. We will submit the evidence. The evidence that will be submitting, it will be obviously the cases that were opened.
And you did speak to these cases, I think, at 50.2, you stated complaints or misconduct reports and were not acted upon or were actively suppressed. Were not acted upon by who? Who are you accusing of failing to act upon those?
Firstly is IPIT that is supposed to, and secondly, firstly is myself, secondly is the IPIT, because investigation was supposed to be done, proper investigation was supposed to be done by the police, and upon investigation, I should have taken a disciplinary action against him.
Sorry, I apologize. I interrupted you. I thought,
No, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm
So technically, you're inviting the commissioners to read paragraph 50.2 thus. The complaints and the misconduct reports were not acted upon by inter alia myself. That's your complaint. And were acted, and IPID on the
Please
other hand.
don't nod. Please say yes.
Correct.
Okay.
I don't want to speak louder while she's speaking. It will be as if I'm interrupting her.
I understand.
Appreciate
I
it.
understand.
Okay. So perhaps I pause there And your response is a yes, you confirm. That the statement must be read to mean complaints or misconduct reports were not acted upon by inter alia, myself and IPID.
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. The second half of that is your charge, they were actively suppressed. By who and how?
By IPIT or the law enforcement or by himself, because I never got to see any report. As the video indicated that he's been protected, I never got to see the accident report, the outcome of the accident, and the recommendation from IPIT, because they always investigate police misconduct. I never got to get that report.
I appreciate that, but you're making a specific allegation to the commission and you say these acts of misconduct were actively suppressed. When you wrote that in your statement, I would take it that you at least had a sense of who suppressed and how they suppressed. Are you able to assist the commissioners in that regard?
I'm sure my answer would be he actively suppressed that through his connections, because I never got to see the report of the accident and the outcome and the recommendation to myself to actually take action. Remember, you can't take action on the allegation that Chief was involved in the accident and we don't have anything in writing. And we do not have any report in terms of the recommendation. You see how IPAD dealt with Mkwanazi's matter. They did their own investigation and they gave us recommendation. So I expected that kind of a report that Chief was involved under the influence of alcohol and the city must take action against him. But I never got to get that report. Hence, we are saying his misconduct was actually suppressed.
Is it?
Yes, Shazi, maybe just a correction. The testimony that we have about IPID's investigation into Brigadier Mkwanazi is that Spies actually went and laid a criminal complaint with the police. And that then IPID took the matter over from the police. So IPID didn't just introduce itself into the Brigadier Mkwanazi matter, or the matter didn't end up with IPID because IPID took the initiative to start an investigation. An official of the municipality went to lay a criminal charge. Now, you have your direct report accused of that in 2020 and you become aware of this. If IPID were to be involved, it was through you. You had to go and lay a criminal complaint. Now that your officers have done that, you've seen that publicly, you know the detail of it. It was your responsibility in the way that Spies did it to go to the SAPS and then the SAPS and then IPID would take it from there. So it's not open to you to criticize IPID that they should have investigated when the complainant would have been you and you did nothing about it. I'm just correcting that IPID becomes involved because the employer, the municipality, lays a criminal charge.
Thanks, ma'am. Thanks, Commissioner. I take your point.
A difficulty I have also is you like, and I think you started saying this from yesterday already, you like saying, I did not get a report. You've said that a good few times, even this morning, I did not get a report. I don't understand that. You are the leader, you are the top administrator. You are aware of what is happening around you, even if it is at the level of allegations. I just don't understand why you would sit back and wait for a quote-unquote report. Do you want to comment on that?
I want to comment by saying that obviously it's like an oversight that I could have reported the case to IPID so that I can get a proper report and discipline.
And not just that, not just that. You are an administrator within within the local sphere of government. You don't have to have a report from an outsider, as it were, IPID, for you to be able to act. Why should that be so? Well, now you are suggesting that for you to act, you must always get a report from IPID. That cannot be so. You are part of a sphere of government, which is autonomous. You said so yesterday. So why must you want to get something from another sphere of government? Police operated the national sphere of government. Why must you first get that before you act? Get a report from IPID. I don't understand that.
Yeah, maybe I did not come out clearly in terms of the processes that before I can act against a senior manager, I must get a report.
From whom?
Here, this
From whom?
A complaint, a formal complaint.
At the time, in 2020, did you not become aware at the time that members of the EMPD had protested? On the day the protest took place, or at the latest, the very next day, did you not get to know that members of the EMPD had protested?
I was aware.
You were aware. What report were you waiting for then?
Remember,
why don't you get up and go find out what exactly the protest was about and see whether there was a need for you to act or not? Why do you just sit and fold your arms for some report that must come from I don't know whom?
Remember, I indicated, Commissioner, that the person who took a report from the protesters was a political hit. And I have indicated that my hands are tied in terms of politicians. He promised that he's going to submit that report to the administration, of which he did not. And I want to actually maybe concede that waiting for a report did not help me, and waiting for a report made me not to act or implement consequence management from the chief of, for the consequence management on the chief of police.
The complaint was not by politicians, so you did not have to depend on politicians to get to the bottom of what all of this was about. So you cannot blame the politicians for not having brought the memorandum to you, can you?
No, I can't.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. You, in response to the question that the Chair just posed to you, and I understood you to say the politician upon whom the memorandum was served promised to submit the report to the administration. Is that what you said?
Correct, Commissioner.
By report, do you mean the memorandum itself, or a report that he or some structure within the city would compile for submission to the administration? What exactly did he promise to submit?
He promised to submit the memoranda because he indicated on that video that the allegations must be investigated.
When was this promise made?
He promised on the video that he was going to submit the report to the administration being me as the administrative head. That memorandum, and it never reached my office.
When did you learn of this promise?
I beg your pardon?
When did you learn of the promise being made?
On that day when he took a memorandum.
The date of the day of.
Yeah.
And what steps did you take to ensure that he delivers on his promise?
I did not take any steps. I was waiting for the memoranda, and I took the commissioner, the chairperson's view that I did nothing to implement consequence management.
No, I doubt you can implement any consequence management on political appointees. Am I correct? Against whom are you going to implement consequence management?
I can through counsel. Remember, if the
Oh,
allegations
the
and there is
counsel.
that memoranda in front of me, I was expected to write a report to mayoral committee that these allegations should be investigated, and that report will eventually go to council to be entertained, and council will take it, will make a determination that these allegations be investigated.
Do you understand the magnitude of your failure to at least pursue a promise you know was publicly made regarding these important and disturbing issues? Do you appreciate, if
Yes,
you accept that you would have been a trigger for the council to investigate this particular politician and take steps, and you fail to do so, you just so flippantly, you come across as so flippantly saying, I take the point, oversight on my part. Is that how you intend to communicate it, or am I misunderstanding you?
Well, I can't comment on that. I've
Okay.
made a point that I fail to discipline chief of police in terms of council processes and the code of conduct for senior managers. I also accept the fact that I failed to play an oversight role on him as an HOD.
And I say, because you, 5 years later in 2025, before the Madlanga Commission, you make it a specific objective of your testimony here to highlight precisely what Chief Mapieya did 5 years ago, in circumstances where you had certain failings. And we must accept that you do so because you seriously want those issues to be addressed? Or are you just raising them to show up Chief Mapieya and his shortcomings? What is the purpose, really?
That such issues be investigated or
By
be
who?
addressed. Remember, there's an issue about political interference, infiltration of criminals within the system. There's also an issue about political interference. There's also an issue about political killings.
Yes.
And I think, and also defeating the end of justice. I don't know
Yes.
how to put it legally. So we need to showcase that police officers themselves, at some point, they do defeat the ends of justice, and that must be looked into, especially where cases are reported and nothing happened on them, or no investigation was done, or no consequences was implemented. We should actually showcase and assist the commission in making recommendations.
Thank you.
I hope you'll be moving on. I think this
I am.
point has been exhausted.
I just have one last point, and then I'm moving to my next question. So you raise it for purposes of demonstrating defeating the ends of justice. Anything about political interference in particular? No, you don't take it that far.
Political interference, I've indicated several times. I'll still indicate during question 13, where I was prevented to take action against the chief of police, and where I was victimized immediately after I took action and took the report direct to council,
Okay.
because I was blocked by the executive mayor or by the executive.
Okay, then we will deal with that issue under that question. Is there you introduced the video. Have we covered it as extensively as you would have wanted the commission to consider it? May we move on? Thank you.
Correct.
I would invite us to go to question 11. At your page 22.
Ms. Silo, just for our benefit, sorry, Chair, can you just indicate for us which questions have been answered and which ones remain?
Okay.
We are a bit lost in our
All right.
record, so just
Because
so that
of the approach
Yes.
we are left with question 9, question 11, question 12, and 13.
Thank you very much.
Those are the outstanding
I
questions.
whispered to my colleagues just now.
And
wanted to-
I'm sorry to add to the confusion by skipping 9 and going to 11.
Oh, all right.
So I'm going to deal with 11 and 12 in succession. Then I retrace to 9 and finalize with 13. Thank you. 11 appears at your page 22, the statement, Dr. Mashazi, at page 22. And this particular question wanted you to comment on the appointment of Brigadier Mkwanazi to the rank of Deputy Chief of Police during or about December 2023. You have responded comprehensively to this question from paragraph 124 to paragraph 136. If you could take the commissioners through your response.
Thank you, ma'am. The position of Deputy Chief of Police was vacant, and there was a need to fill the position. The position was advertised, and a panel was formulated. Chief of Police was the chairperson of the panel, and there were 2 candidates who competed for the position. And in terms of my statement here, I'm saying that the chief responded to chief's allegation in a way that he, in fact, wanted to appoint Ivan Duplessis as compared to Mkwanazi. I want to place it on record that I did not participate.
Apologies, Doctor. Could you draw perhaps the speakers closer to yourself? Because your voice sometimes drops and you are not always audible. Thank you.
Okay, I want to put it on record to the commission that I did not participate in the process because this is delegated to the Chief of Police and he becomes the chairperson of the panel. The outcome of the of the interview panel, there's an annexure IM19 where the scoring sheet is actually depicted, where the chief, despite his statement and Ncuza's statement that, in fact, he wanted to appoint Ivan against Mkwanazi. He scored Mkwanazi 21 points above Ivan Duplessis. He actually scored Ivan Duplessis 18. And in terms of the scoring of other members, they were actually in line with chief scoring, wherein Mkwanazi ended up being the recommended candidate for appointment. I need to indicate that during this period, I was on leave and Mr. Mkwanazi was given an appointment letter. Thank you.
Thank you. Please help the commission understand the level of Deputy Chief of Police is 2 levels below you, in a sense that the person in that post would report to the Chief of Police, and then then you are the city manager, and the Chief of Police then accounts to council through you.
Correct.
Is that the correct order? Okay.
Correct, Commissioner.
In terms of city regulations and HR grading, what grade would that be? Is that a senior grade? Would you have a sense? If you could help me out there, I'm a bit in the dark.
Yes, it's not at senior level. It's a senior level in terms of departmental structure. But senior managers, in terms of the legislation, it's the head of department.
Okay. But it's senior enough that the process of recruitment is slightly more stringent than for lower ranking members in the government structures. Is that a fair assessment?
Correct, ma'am.
And I understand that at this particular level, those candidates who are successful in the interview are then put forward to complete a competency assessment test?
Correct.
Oh. Are you aware of one conducted in relation to this appointment?
Obviously, they can't appoint anyone at that level without competence assessment. That is the rule.
Now, Mr. Mapiaya, Chief Mapiaya, do you have a Chief Mapiaya statement next to you? Commissioners, if I may ask you to turn to that.
Statement?
Statement, please, statement. Thank you for pointing that out. And if you have it at hand, if you could turn to page 20 of Mapia's statement. I'm going to deal with that statement from paragraph 66, but just to put what 66 and succeeding paragraphs speak to, it's appropriate I place it in its proper context. Chief Mapia speaks to that recruitment process. He confirms that he was part of that interview panel and that they interviewed two candidates, being Brigadier Mkwanazi and Staff Officer Ivan Duplessis. So now we get to 66. At 66, and I quote, he states, at the conclusion of the interviews, both candidates, as is the norm for appointments at that level, were to undertake competency assessments, at the conclusion of which the panel would reconvene and make a final evaluation based on the interview scores and the competency assessment results, and thereafter recommend the successful candidate for appointment. At 67, he states, I continue, the HOD-HR never reconvened the panel for the purposes stated above. I have never seen the competency assessment results of either candidate and do not know if either undertook such assessment. I can confirm that the interview panel thus never completed its task and neither did it recommend the appointment of any of the two candidates to the post. I next saw Brigadier Mkwanazi with the new insignia and georgettes of the rank of Deputy Chief of Police during the first week of December 2023. That is the first line of paragraph 68. Now, you just confirmed that under no circumstances would an appointment be made absent a competency assessment. And here we have a situation where Chief Mapia, who was the chair of that panel, indicates that none was ever done because the panel never reconvened for purposes of considering the two candidates based on their interview results and the results of the competency assessment. What I invite you to make a comment in light thereof on the validity of the appointment of Brigadier Mkwanazi.
Looking at his statement, and as I'm sitting here...
Dr. Mashazi, you've switched off the other mic. Can you please switch it on?
Oh, it's from the file. Apologies.
And again, try to pull them forward if they still can come forward. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Commissioner. In terms of the way the statement is crafted, as I indicated that I was on leave, but at the face value, the process cannot be valid if the competence assessment were not done. And I would request that we go back and check with HOD-HR if indeed competence assessment were not done. Remember, we received the bundles on the 26th, and we were left with 2 days to prepare and get information. And I'm sure sitting here, they wouldn't do anything illegal without following processes. But I do not want to dwell much on it because I do not have records of the actual interview process.
I accept that, and I guess rightly so, you give them the benefit of doubt that they wouldn't do anything illegal, and neither am I suggesting that they would. And perhaps let's not detain ourselves with that. My interest is, you and I have agreed that Chief Mapia was the chair of that panel. The chair of that panel comes to this commission and says it's a 2-stage process, interview and assessment. The chair of that panel tells this committee, this commission, that after the assessment, we ought to reconvene as a panel and make our final recommendation. And he says that step never took place. Do you have challenges with the evidence that far?
I don't have challenges because it is the statement that he makes and I do not have information around it. Hence, I requested that whether if the commission allows, because Ms. Linda Kasheka will be coming to speak here, or we are given an opportunity to get information to respond to this statement.
Just one question for clarity. Did I understand you to accept that the appointment would be invalid if the competency assessment did not take place and the interview panel did not reconvene to assess the candidates on how they performed in the interviews and also on the results of the competency assessment? So did I understand you to say that you accept that if that were the position, the appointment of Brigadier Mkwanazi would be legally invalid?
Correct, Commissioner.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And you accept, at least you've got no basis to reject the testimony of Chief Mapie at this juncture?
Correct.
And you...
May I?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Dr. Mashazi, just to get your comment on what appears to be a further irregularity in this process, your IM19 that you've provided to us, that scoring sheet in that annexure bundle, the interview summary and recommendation document, it will be in your annexure bundle. And you find it at page 58.
58.
You there? All right. So you see that has got the names of panelists, and you've got Chief Mapie, Zanele Katembo, Kemi Bihari, Linda Kasheka, and then there's HR Secretariat. You see where I'm reading?
Yes,
okay. And when you look at the last column, signature, you've got 4 signatures, but only 3 are the panelists. You see that? The 4th one is HR Secretariat. And then when you go to the column with the heading approved, you've got only 2 ticks. You've got the tick by the chairperson, Mapie, and then you've got Ms. Kasheka. The other panelists haven't indicated approved or not approved, so they've indicated no position. But importantly, when you go to the next grade, which is down, you've got scoring. Panelist 1 scores Duplessis 18, panelist 2 scores 21, 18, 17, and 19, those are the panelists. There's a panelist that did not do the scoring. Can you see that? What does that mean? Is it still a regular process where you've got a panel of, we've just gone through the panel there, the number of people, and then you have only 3 that have provided scores at this point? Is that regular in the normal course of recruitment?
It is irregular.
It's irregular. It's another irregularity about this. All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sil.
Thank you, Commissioner. You then have annexed the appointment letter as IM20, your annexure IM20, and that is at page 59. Now, this letter, as I read it, now before I get to the letter, you say at 133, this letter was not signed off by me, it was signed by the acting city manager at the time.
Correct, ma'am.
Who was that?
It was Mr. Maseko.
Who's, he's got a fuller name?
Mr. Togozani Maseko.
Now, when somebody is acting in one's position, normally they write their name and they designate the position as acting whatever, HOD this. Is that the normal practice?
No, they just write acting, discretion, just write acting and sign.
And they do so against a name that is not theirs. So you can write Commissioner Baloy and I come and sign and I just say acting, and it's understood that I signed, not Commissioner Baloy. Is that how it works in the city?
What works in the city is that you need to indicate that you are acting, you are not the incumbent of the position.
You who? To the reader of the document, how do they determine who's the signatory?
Well, they wouldn't know.
They wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And that is because this letter that you reference, his appointment letter, was actually intended to be signed by you, Dr. Imogen Mashazi, city manager. And
Correct.
somebody, some random person, you say it is Tokozani Maseko. Some random person appears to have signed and just added the word acting. And that is what constitutes Brigadier Mkwanazi's appointment letter.
I'm saying it is the process of the council. When you act, you indicate that you are acting, and I was not around, I was on leave. He indicated through writing that acting, and he signed. And I take your point that he is supposed to write his full name, that I am acting. But I can tell you honestly so that he was acting and I was on leave.
And what was his substantive position at the time?
He's an HOD for water and sanitation, and he was the acting city manager.
No, he became an acting city manager when you went on leave. But this substantive position, you say, is HOD, water and sanitation.
Water and sanitation.
Okay. You stated your paragraph 134. You make the point, at the time of appointment, you were on leave and therefore took no part in the approval process. Correct?
Correct, ma'am.
I just want to test, are you aware of the principle that when you are on leave and you delegate your powers to somebody, you retain the responsibility for actions exercised in your name by that acting appointee? Are you aware of that principle?
I am aware.
On the basis of that principle, are you willing to accept the responsibility for this, what now appears to be an irregular appointment?
I do accept.
You then say you were not part of the approval process. Then you say, I quote, the administrative finalization of the appointment. But we know that that administrative finalization of the appointment was never effected because it was never finalized. The panel never concluded its exercise. Are you willing to accept that?
I do, Commissioner.
At 136, you state, in light of these facts, I'm unable to understand the basis for the allegation that I played a role in promoting or advancing Brigadier Mkwanazi's appointment. In light of the fact that, at least on the basis of his letter of appointment, your name appears on it, you explain it away by saying, actually, it was not I, because I was on leave, it was this other person we have named. Are the allegations wholly baseless that you took part in the appointment? And I'm saying this in light of the fact that it is your name that is reflected at the bottom of the appointment letter.
Let me explain that all the forms in the municipality are standard. And when they appoint or when they sign for anything, that's why there's a space where they need to indicate that they're acting. So you cannot chop and change the forms as and when. The forms, all the forms are standard, including whether it's BAC forms and whatever. But I take a point that he was supposed to write his full name and then sign as acting.
And hence my question to you, to say his name doesn't appear anywhere on this document. You take issue with the allegations that you played a role. And I'm saying now, with wisdom of hindsight, and now having come to understand the challenges and what this document represents, do you contend that the allegations are wholly baseless?
The allegations are
wholly baseless. They are without merit whatsoever, and there is no basis on which they could ever be made.
exactly,
That you're so content,
yes.
notwithstanding the fact that the appointment letter bears your name.
Notwithstanding,
The fact that Brigadier Mkwanazi's appointment letter bears your name doesn't bear your signature, but it bears your name.
correct,
Notwithstanding that.
correct.
Okay. Now, you conclude your 136 by saying the documentary record makes it clear that the process was conducted by the appropriate officials and finalized during my period of leave. Based on our engagements this morning, you cannot stand by that statement and the concessions you have made. You cannot say that that process of appointment was finalized because we have established that it wasn't. Are you willing to make that concession?
Correct, ma'am.
Thank you. I then want to move on to question 12.
Before
Yes, Chair.
moving on, am I correct based on, I'll take you back to page 59 of the letter. At the top there it says inquiries Linda Tasheka. Am I correct that Ms. Tasheka is the person that must have prepared this letter for signature by the city manager?
Correct, Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
Just one more thing, Dr. Mashazi. So this is an offer letter. It's a letter of appointment on page 59. And we don't have to mention the package, it's not necessary. But you see the package set out there on page 59.
Yes.
In the offer letter. And then on page 62, is a document titled Offer Acceptance Letter. Do you see that?
Yes, sir.
So in that document, Brigadier Mkwanazi accepts the offer, but makes a counter offer because he says, I want my total package to be increased by some 200,000 rands. My question is, was that counter offer accepted, or his proposal that his package should be increased by close to 200,000, was it accepted? And if so, by who?
Obviously, this is mandated to the accounting officer. All the senior managers, especially the DH and the HODs, immediately they're appointed. All of them, they raise issues that they accept the appointment, but in terms of the salary difference between them and their juniors, there is a little gap, and they're allowed for as long as the salary increase or the suggested salary increase, it is not above the band that is approved by council.
So it came to you?
I think so. It
And
came to
you
me.
approved it?
I think so.
But why would you have approved it if the offer letter says the package is what is set out on page 59? And please, for our purposes, you don't need to mention what his package was. Just the principle I'm debating with you. We can just discuss the principle.
The principle of approving the request by any HOD or DH, it's a principle, it's an approach that we've done to all of them, whether HOD or DH, if they make a point that the salary difference from where they are to the next level doesn't make much difference, looking at the risk of entering into a 5-year contract compared to being a permanent employee, because he was coming from a rank of director to a DH, and DHs are in a 5-year contract.
Thank you.
If I may just, I know I said I was moving on, but your engagement with Commissioner Khumalo triggered a question, and I'll take a step back. Once again, and I follow suit, please don't mention the package at page 59. You may or may not have an answer to my question. The second question. The first is, this position that he was then, quote unquote, appointed into is the same position that was occupied by, is it Commissioner Mzolo? I'm sorry if I get the title wrong. Was that Mr. Mzolo's previous, the position Mr. Mzolo had vacated?
Correct.
I think through retirement.
Correct.
To your recollection, the package reflected at page 59, did it accord with what Commissioner Mzolo was earning at the time in that position? Or was it higher, lower, if you recall?
I'm sorry, I do not recall because there are so many requests.
Yes, no, I appreciate that. And it's something that perhaps Mr. Sheka, as HOD HR, might be able to shed light on.
Correct.
Okay, we shall pursue it with her. Thank you.
Maybe just to follow up on this, on the back of this question, when you approved this increase, this counter offer, because that's really what it is, it's not a request. It's not someone who says, I'm at this salary, now I ask you to increase. This is a counter offer. When you accepted this, did you discuss this with Mr. Sheka as the head of HR?
Thank you, Commissioner. The request comes from from HR. It's a formal request for my signature. So she would come with and present the request for the increase, and would sit and discuss and look at the previous level where the incumbent or the candidate was, and we consider those facts and we look at the salary band. She advises in terms of the salary band, whether it is within the salary band of a DH.
And would the chief of police have any input in that discussion? Because this is someone who's going to report to him and he has other divisional heads reporting to him.
No, it was just, it is only Ms. Gashega that presented the report to me because it's an HR process.
Okay. All right. And then I just want to be sure, in the light of your earlier discussion and concessions about the irregularity in this appointment, when you look at your statement in paragraph 131, page 22, you say the scoring clearly demonstrates that all members of the panel independently assessed Brigadier Mkhwanazi as the stronger candidate, which is why he emerged as the highest rated applicant and was accordingly recommended for appointment. Now, we've looked at that panel sheet that I've just discussed with you at page 55. When you made this statement that all members of the panel, you were aware of IM 19 because it comes from you. It's part of your documents. So you were aware of IM 19 at page 58 when you said all members of the panel scored him the highest.
To be honest, I was not aware about the irregularities. You are only pointing the irregularities now to me, and I take a point that the comment on page 131 should be amended.
So where did you get it from, that all members of the panel scored him the highest? If you were not aware of this panel sheet, where did you get the statement from?
The statement?
Where did you get it from, that the panel, all members of the panel scored him highest? Where did you get that information from?
From the scoring sheet.
But the scoring sheet, the scoring sheet doesn't say that.
The scoring sheet says he was scored the highest, but not all members.
Yes.
Which is an oversight because I did not check whether all members, but I just saw the round figure that one scored 54 and the other one scored 62, 64.
Yes. So you're saying you hadn't really looked at the scoring sheet properly by the time you made the statement in the affidavit?
Correct, ma'am.
Okay. The second part of that paragraph, 131, you say, and was accordingly recommended for appointment. Where did you get that he was recommended for appointment? Who told you that?
It is according to the report from HR The one that is attached, that is being signed by Mr. Maseko.
Which report is that, ma'am?
Where is acting, I think it's IM 20.
But IM 20.
Is it IM 20 or?
No,
Yeah, the appointment letter.
Yes, the appointment letter is addressed to Mr. Mkwanazi. It is not a report, and it doesn't contain a recommendation for his appointment.
Maybe in terms of the crafting and the format of the appointment letter, we should actually, accordingly, look at raising issues like he was a recommended candidate and you were a recommended candidate and this is your appointment, you are duly appointed. I think this form falls short of that kind of information.
Yes, and please correct me, my expectation, my assumption is that there would have been a recommendation to you as the appointing person, and I know you were on leave in this period, but ordinarily, if you had been in office, and you would have received a recommendation from HR to appoint him.
Correct.
You say you were on leave, so it would have come to whoever was acting in your position, recommending the appointment.
Correct.
And then you would either accept or reject it, right? Whoever was in office in this case accepted the recommendation, if assuming the recommendation was made properly, accepted the recommendation and then issued this letter of appointment. What I'm discussing with you is in your statement, you say a recommendation for his appointment was made. And my question about where do you get that is important because of the controversy that has been read to you from the statement of Chief Mapie that the process was not completed. So you say there was a recommendation to appoint him, and I would like you to say to us, where do you get the statement from? Did you see a recommendation? Is that why you say a recommendation was made? Is it because you saw a recommendation?
Thank you, Chair. As we indicated that the preparation for this bundle and this testimony that was prepared over a year, and the testimony was given over 2 weeks, and we were only given 2 days to prepare our files. I think we fell short of including some of the information or responding properly to the issues raised. And I take your point that there are a lot of gaps in terms of our statement. And I also appreciate the fact that the Commission has actually apologized in terms of the prejudice that we suffered in terms of the timelines of preparing our documentation in response to the allegations that were made.
No, but Ms. Mushazi, what you say in paragraph 131 is not a function of, it's not a gap and it's not a function of you didn't have enough time to prepare. You say, you make a positive statement. A recommendation was made that he be appointed. You say that. You could only say that because you saw a recommendation. That's the one possibility. The only other possibility is you make a statement that has no basis whatsoever. In fact, you didn't see a recommendation. You assumed. You may have assumed, or you just made it up. This is not a function of you didn't have time. You either know or you don't know that there was a recommendation. It's that simple. But if what you've just said now is your best answer, I really would not want to press you any further.
I beg your pardon, can you repeat the last statement?
If what you've just said now is the best answer to my question about where did you get that there was a recommendation, if you say your answer is you didn't have time to prepare, and so there are gaps, and you can't take it any further. I will leave it at that.
Correct, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Dr. Mashazi, I had invited us to now turn to question 12. It appears at your page 23, paragraphs 137 to 139. And the question really related to the appointment of Brigadier Mkwanazi to the position of Acting Chief of Police for the period 6th to the 17th of May 2024. You see that? Okay. Could you summarize your response for the record, please?
Yes, he was appointed from the 6th to the 17th of May to act in the position of Chief of Police, and the appointment was made by myself because he qualified for the position to act because he was already a Deputy Chief of Police. And I need to indicate that in terms of council processes, we rotate individuals in the acting position. You can only appoint for 3 months. And if you can, the commission can recall that at some point Mr. Spies acted, I appointed him to act. And also during Zolo's period, Zolo was also appointed. That is the gist of the matter, that he qualified to act and we had to rotate because previously it was Mr. Spies that was acting. And the next in line obviously would be Mr. Kwabi because they only have 3 deputy chiefs of police.
Thank you. Commissioner Kumalo?
I want to move on to September 2024 to ask the same question. So Chief Mapieya was suspended in September 2024, correct?
Correct.
And somebody then had to be appointed as acting chief of police, correct?
Correct, Commissioner.
Was that also Brigadier Mkwanazi, now Deputy Chief Mkwanazi?
The acting deputy chief was then Deputy Chief Mzolo when...
No, my question is when Chief Mapieya was suspended in September 2024, you had to appoint an acting chief of police.
Correct.
Who was that? Who did you appoint as acting chief of police in September 2024?
I don't have my records to recall exactly who was. It's either it was Mkwanazi or I do not recall, but we'll have to get the documentation.
I don't want to waste time, so maybe you can come back to that on that.
Yes.
So it will be a same question, but different period. Thank you.
Correct, Commissioner.
If I may then just, because you've promised Commissioner Kumalo to come back on that issue, just to remind you that the clip we watched yesterday where you responded to the issue of the IPID report, you recall that? It's on record as that interview as having been conducted on the 3rd of February, 2025.
Correct.
And at the time, reference to Brigadier Mkwanazi is as acting chief of police.
Correct.
I'm just giving you a sort of a timeline and perspective. So if you accept that he was an acting chief of police in February 2025, yours is to work backwards to when he was appointed.
Correct.
Okay. Back to my question. My question was, you say that there is a requirement for rotation when you appoint, you make acting appointments.
Correct.
Where is that requirement to be found, and how exactly does it, provide? What exactly does it provide for?
I think it's one of the HR processes where it provides, it indicates that for any acting, it should not overlap the period of 3 months. And all of us in different levels, whether it's the chief of police that would appoint somebody to act as acting deputy chief of police, it should be 3 months and not more than 3 months. Yes. And there should be rotation if there are other qualifying candidates who can actually take up the position.
Now, we know Brigadier Mkhwanazi acted from the 7th of May to the 17th, the 6th of May to the 17th of May. That's what we have in our statement, correct?
Correct.
I don't want to answer your question, but when Chief Mapie was suspended, to my recollection, I think Brigadier Mkhwanazi was appointed as the acting Chief of Police. Speak under correction, of course. To your recollection, in between the two periods, the 17th of May 2024 and the 25th of September 2024, which is the date on which Chief Mapie was suspended, was it ever necessary to appoint an acting Chief of Police?
Correct, ma'am.
For which period?
Correct, because you can't leave the position vacant, because there should be someone who should assume responsibility for the department.
No, I apologize. I think I was very inelegant in how I posed my question. From our statement, your statement, at page 23, and the question posed, we know that Brigadier Mkhwanazi acted from the 6th to the 17th of May, 2024.
Correct.
My question is, between the 17th of May, 2024, and the 25th of September, 2024, which is when Chief Mapie was placed on suspension. Are you with me?
Correct.
Was there ever a need to appoint an acting Chief of Police?
Correct.
When was that? And basically, before he was suspended, was he ever not at work, requiring the appointment of an acting Chief of Police, Chief Mapie?
Okay, thank you. When he is off sick or when he is on leave or any individual on leave, we need to have someone, whether it's one day, someone taking the responsibility for the department.
And I'm asking whether or not that situation arose in the period,
yes.
17th of May, when?
When?
When? Between the 17th of May and the 25th of September 2024, was Chief Mapie off or sick or not at work, requiring you to appoint somebody to act in his stead?
We wouldn't appoint somebody to act if the Chief of Mapie was on duty. And to be honest, we need to get the records of his leave, whether it was sick leave, because as I indicated that, unfortunately, I could not draw up his leave record because he is, I will make just a general statement that on a monthly basis or not monthly basis or 2 monthly basis, the Chief of Police would be off. Either his father is sick in Madlanga or he is sick himself or he needs vacation leave. That's why at the point when we gave him those 30 days, he did not have enough vacation days. Okay. So each time when a person or an incumbent is sick or is on leave, any kind of leave, we need to have someone acting. So we'll have to therefore go back, as we indicated, the time constraints, and get the sick leave of the Chief of Police on that particular day, or okay. The leave forms.
Thanks. Perhaps the way I posed the question implies that I require of you to recall those times Chief Mapie was not at work and therefore somebody had to be appointed in his position. No, I didn't intend to communicate that, but perhaps let me ask a different question. Between the 17th of May, 2024, when the acting appointment of General Mkhwanazi terminated, and until your retirement from the city on the 30th or 31st of July, 2025, whatever the end date is, did you ever appoint anyone as an acting Chief of Police or persons? And from what you stated, your paragraph 138, the choice would have been either Mr. Mkhwanazi, because then he was appointed Deputy Chief of Police. It was Commissioner Spies, because he already held a similar position. He was one of the 3 deputies, right? And the third was Mwabe?
Mr. Gwabe.
Mr. Gwabe. Mm. So you had a choice of 3. Mm-hmm. In that period, did you ever appoint any one of them to the position until you retired of acting chief of police?
Dr. Mashazi, please mull over the question and answer it when we resume at 11:15. Let's rise.
Thank you.
One question at least.
Have been arrested for alleged corruption, extortion, and business robbery. They were arrested this morning. It is believed that the officers were targeting foreign owners of spaza shops and requested their asylum documentation. The city says the alleged incidents date back to January this year. During the arrest of one of the victims, the officers allegedly stole cigarettes worth over 600,000 rand from the victim's vehicle. The city's law enforcement spokesperson, Wayne Dynson.
The Safety and Security Directorate is committed to rooting out corrupt and criminal elements that have infiltrated our enforcement services. We will not hesitate to investigate and take the required action when wrongdoing is uncovered. This matter is also being dealt with in terms of city policies and processes, and we can confirm they will be suspended as the disciplinary process is underway.
13 teenagers have been injured after a minibus taxi they were traveling in overturned on the N3 near Cattle Ridge in KwaZulu-Natal. The driver is reported to have lost control of the vehicle, causing it to overturn this morning. Gareth Jamison is the spokesperson of a private ambulance service whose paramedics attended to the injured.
Paramedics arrived on scene to find chaos as they found that a single taxi, fully loaded with teenagers, somehow lost control and overturned, coming to rest on its side. A total of 13 teenagers had sustained various injuries, and once stabilized on the scene, they were transported to various Pietermaritzburg hospitals for the further care that they required.
Extreme weather conditions and a series of crashes on the Trans-Siberian Highway have caused traffic congestion. Motorists were stuck for hours, and some were stranded overnight on the road connecting Siberia and the far east of Russia. This as the temperature dropped to a minus 30 Celsius. Local authorities have blamed truck drivers for violating traffic regulations and causing crashes. These motorists explain how being stuck in traffic has affected them.
We were stuck for the whole night in Soldan. We had no water, nothing.
It's taken us 26 hours to travel the 50 kilometers from Kultuk.
Recapping the top story, retired Ekurhuleni CT manager Dr. Imogen Mashazi has conceded that she did not take appropriate action against suspended police chief Jabulani Mapiyeye. I am Mondelambana for SAFM News.
EFC is live this Thursday. In a division that has produced more global superstars than any other, a four-way Grand Prix will decide the next warriors to battle for the flyweight throne. It's Zondi versus Kamana and Manumala versus Ngamantwini. EFC 130, live from the World Sports Betting Arena. Watch it on SABC Sport Channel on DTT Channel 4 from 7 p.m. Brought to you by SABC Sport.
The Eastern Cape MEC for Finance, Mlungisi Mvogo, will on 4 December 2025 table the medium-term budget policy statement. He will outline adjustments to the 2025-2026 budget and highlight key policy priorities for the medium term. Follow MEC Mlungisi Mvogo and the Eastern Cape Provincial Treasury on Facebook for further details.
I don't love going to school. I don't love sitting in a classroom with 50 other children, but I do love learning. Ndiyakuthanda ukufunda isiXhosa as a language. I do love getting good grades. I do love UCT Online High School because I do love my future. Apply online before 19 December.
5 teams, one epic journey. No flights, no smartphones, just grit, maps, and pure determination. Race Across the World Season 3 is back, and the stakes have never been higher. From bustling cities to remote villages, who will conquer the chaos and cross the finish line first? Thursdays at 6 p.m. only on S3.
Mzansi Africa. Unity defeats any challenge. Let us unite and speak out against gender-based violence, HIV/AIDS, emotional and mental health issues. During celebration of this holiday season with our families and friends, let's enjoy responsibly. We rise by lifting each other. For assistance, contact Lifeline South Africa. Stop gender-based violence. Call or WhatsApp 0800 150 150. Alternatively, call National Health Hotline on 0800 012 322 or WhatsApp on 084 922 8808. Lifeline South Africa. Mental and emotional health for all. This is an SABC supported initiative.
The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, you're listening to the Talking Point. Welcome to the third and final hour of the show. 9 after 11 o'clock. And so, yeah, we are still continuing with the evidence being given by the retired Ekurhuleni City Manager, Dr. Imogen Mashazi, who has been back on the witness stand today to continue to answer, right, for some of the things that took place within the city of Ekurhuleni under her watch. How many times have you now heard this morning the phrase, I take your point, I concede that I did not do what I needed to do. I did not do what I should have done. I take your point. I take your point. And it continues to be laid bare in front of us. The maladministration, the dysfunction. But again, the how do I want to say it? The rubber stamping, the rubber stamping of behavior by a form and an attitude that says that I was not there. I did not look at this. I did not take action. The rubber stamped much of these behaviors. And even the process of appointing Julius Mkhwanazi, have you heard just how riddled with irregularity it was? Why did somebody sign next to her name without actually saying who they were? Isn't that an intention to commit fraud? Surely it is. These are legal documents. They carry legal weight. They have legal standing. And it's an appointment letter. It's not, it's an appointment letter for an official position in the city. The dereliction of duty continues to really just wow. It's incredulous that these are the levels to which the dereliction of duty can exist. So we'll take some of your WhatsApp voice notes and then we'll go back to those hearings.
Yuthi and the listeners, I'm so disgusted by this woman. If she is really a doctor, because I don't understand her doctorate is in what? You can see that she has been given that doctorate because she doesn't have anything for women. She is even arrogant, and you can see the addressing and everything. I'm so angry of this woman who is just out of order and so disrespectful. I don't know what does she think she is. As for her family and the children, what do they say for her to come on the national TV to talk about everything that is affecting women in this way? And you can see her, she doesn't even behave. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. She's not representing women at all. She's just disgusting.
Hi, Kathy. This is Mike Connors from Johannesburg. Listening to the so-called Dr. Machazi, them, and the rest of the people that are being interviewed on Madlanga, it really becomes an embarrassment to us as Black professionals, people that are put into positions that irresponsible and very unaccountable. It is very embarrassing. And if ANC is going to give us people like this, I believe that this is time for ANC to be taken out for exactly what we hear in Madlanga. Thank you, Kathy.
Morning, Kathy and the team. This woman was just a gatekeeper for the corruption to happen in that municipality. So there's nothing that we're gonna gain out of her testimony and or anything. She's the one. She's the enabler. Kwanazi was a loose cannon just because of this woman. So this woman don't even deserve to sit on that witness stand or should be an accused one. She's going to lie.
No, Katie, this is absolutely wonderful. On the level of sexual harassment that women are facing, especially in the mining sector, government departments, municipalities, it's not only happening equally. I can bet my last time you ask them, just open the calls and ask women whether did they ever receive or being asked for sex in order for them to gain promotion or to get employment. You will hear stories that will shock you. Senior officials from HR and other departments, men, they will ask for favors, sexual favors. And sometimes these things lead to divorces, leads to domestic violence and stuff. It's high time that we take charge these men.
Good morning, Oscar. Hey, Oscar B. These are the things that we always ask ourselves. Who are these city managers? You remember that one of Matatiel who went to stand close to $1 million rocks with the mayor. These are the type of people that look at our cities, and we wonder why our cities in shambles like this. Yeah. She's busy putting lipstick. She's busy on her phone. She's laughing all the way to the bank.
Good morning, Mrs. Kathy and SAF listeners. No, the people must stop blaming the ANC.
The people must stop coming to the national radio and blame the ANC. ANC did nothing wrong. People must sit down and put the blame on themselves because are the one who are voting the ANC into power. The ANC, they don't elect themselves into power, but it's the people. Remember what Professor Lumumba warned us said. He said, when we are given the opportunity to elect leaders, we elect hyenas. And when these hyenas come and eat the sheep, we become surprised. We mustn't be surprised. This is what we have elected for. What we saw yesterday from that doctor, the former municipal manager of Lane, that's what we have elected for. From Polokwane.
Good morning, Kathy, and the listeners. It's Bongani here. People perform on the job in the manner in which they were appointed. You can see Dr. Masha's how she was appointed, the arrogance she brings forth. And she wants to run with this narrative. It's intrusive. The people she wants to accuse. And she runs with the narrative because she knows it will carry weight and it's popular. Women, I was the first woman. Women in that place were suffering. And she alleges accusation against other people to deflect and divert. She performed on the job in the manner in which she was appointed. There's just no other way. She was appointed in a correct way. She had no capacity whatsoever.
Are the toxic?
Morning, Kathy. This is Sam in the Free State. You know, it's disappointing to see how some people seem not to take this judicial process seriously. I mean, that doctor that was giving evidence yesterday, I don't think that lady takes the process seriously. You see, it's her, it's this Brown Mohoti guy. I don't think they're taking this thing seriously. And what I wonder also is, are there any implications for people that go there to play, or are they just gonna let them go? They lied. Like I can understand it. They just don't take this process seriously. It's very disappointing.
Hi, Kathy. This is KM. Yes, Kathy. You know that it is really worrisome. That woman didn't represent us, we women, well, the women of South Africa and of the world. Because she's a leader. She is a leader, and you know, it's so sad to see her. She's that kind of a woman of who, do you know who I am kind of a woman. She has that entitlement. She's just showing disrespect to the commissioners, laughing at them, smiling, do whatever she wants to do, even saying there is a fly here which is disturbing her. You know, no, she didn't represent us. She didn't represent us well, really. Thank you very much.
Morning, Skadi and SAFM listeners. I'm taking Kono here in Hammer State Desert. And yeah, you're right, Skadi. It's true. There's a lot of things was happening in the Rolling Metro. There's a lot of things if we hear the doctor is talking. And the way she's putting things. If I hope someone who was working with her can phone and explain and tell us what more that we never heard from the doctor. Thank you, Skadi. Have a nice day.
Kathy Motlatlana on SAFM.
You retired end of July 2025.
Correct.
Correct. The question is, from 17th May 2024 to the end of July 2025, do you recall appointing anyone to act as an acting chief of police, and if so, who that was?
At the bottom or at the top of my head, I won't recall who I appointed. Can we be given an opportunity to get the letters of appointment so that you can correctly furnish the commission with the correct information.
I'm sure that the commission will accept that. And remembering that there is a growing list of issues to address in your supplementary statement, so if you could address yourself to that question in the supplementary statement. And I think there was also an adjunct question to that post by Commissioner Kumalo. Just to check, Commissioner Kumalo, would her response to my question answer yours?
Yes, my question was really after Chief Mapia was suspended in September 2024, who was appointed acting Chief of Police?
May I just inquire from the legal, Mr. Musa, please come to the microphone. May I find out if you've been keeping a running list of the issues that have been raised and which are outstanding?
Yes, Commissioner, I've got a list. It spans over a few pages. I think a lot of the aspects that Dr. Mashazi indicated she'd address, or certain aspects have then been subsequently covered in her testimony, which we then eliminated. However, we do have a long list of items that we will endeavor to obtain the info and respond. I know she's taken on the task of we'll assist the Commission by getting this and getting that. It's not as simple as she puts it, but we'll do the best that we can in the circumstances.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Musa. Thank you.
And perhaps if I may add to that, Chair, the offer we previously made, to the extent that the Commission may be of assistance to Dr. Mashazi to obtain certain documentation from the city, we would like, I requested an indication latest by Wednesday for such assistance, and to please indicate except each document requested must be described in full to enable a search for the said document.
We appreciate the assistance. The difficulty may be the timeline of Wednesday, in that we would endeavor to obtain the documents first by ourselves. If no progress is made by Wednesday or Thursday, the moment it comes to our attention that we're not able to access such info or documentation, we fully title it and address it to the Commission.
What problem do you have, if any, if you just quickly identify the documents, which should be relatively easy since you already have a running list? What problem do you have, if any, simply giving that list to Ms. Sillo for her to source the documents?
I think in that regard, Commissioner, in that we've got a list of what's required.
Yes.
We'd make the full list available, fully described.
Yes.
Those documents we'd also want to get access to because it would form part of the statement that we'd wish to, the supplementary statement, and we'd have to have regard to it in terms of how Dr. Mashazi portrays it in the statement and elaborates on the annexures. So if the Commission is able to get access to it before us, for a copy to be provided to us and vice versa.
I'll leave it to you to sort out the practicalities or the detail of the practicalities.
Appreciate it.
And I see, because yesterday when I said the Commissioner will avail Dr. Mashazi the opportunity to supplement whatever she may be minded to, so as to eliminate any prejudice that she may have suffered. You said you would consider your position whether you would take us up on that offer. From what you've just said, it seems to me that you are now taking us up on that offer.
Indeed, so I think that position was established in very early yesterday morning, where Dr. Mashazi made an election by herself to obviously supplement. I don't think it completely eradicates the prejudice she faced, but I think it would go a long way. The reason I would contend so is that over the course of yesterday into today, a lot of questions were posed to her in terms of which she answered potentially inadequately based on the information at her disposal. And there is
what is it that, or rather in respect of which the prejudice would not be eliminated? Why can't that be addressed in an affidavit?
We will obviously endeavor to do the best that we can to fully plug the gaps in terms of her testimony insofar as it related to I don't have the information or I'm going to try and access the information. She had a complaint to me this morning, not related. She says if you look at what's going on in the media and what's being reported, It's as if though I'm being evasive, as if though I'm being arrogant, as if though I wish not to cooperate. She says, that is not the case. I wish to do the best that I can. But the problem is my hands are tied to an extent in that I can only answer to what's before me at the moment. So
Sourcing the documents and speaking to them and adding whatever else Dr. Mashazi may be minded to add should address that. You see, I do not want Dr. Mashazi to leave this commission saying that she was prejudiced. So I want to understand what you say the basis of the prejudice will still be if she is afforded this opportunity. One, she's given documents. Two, she supplements with regard to those documents. Three, she says whatever else and as fully as she may be minded to, so as to eliminate any possible prejudice. So what would the remnants of prejudice still be?
I get where you're coming from.
Because you see, thing is, from what you are saying, it means, or it suggests at least, let me not say it means, it suggests at least that even if Dr. Mashazi had been given 2 months, she would still say, but there still are some remnants of prejudice. Because I'm saying you are given, or she, at least through you, or with your assistance, she's given an opportunity to source the documents that she says she does not have. She's given an opportunity to address the content of those documents. She's given an opportunity to say whatever additional matter she may be minded to say or address. So what more prejudice would remain? Would she still suffer?
Commissioner, I understand the question fully, and I agree with you that the opportunity to do a supplementary statement would go a long way in terms of eradicating or eliminating, and I'm using those words and I'll elaborate on what I'm speaking on instructions, on the prejudice that she perceived to have faced over the last 2 days. Firstly, the opportunity to do a supplementary would plug the gaps and answer the questions that remain unasked, or to furnish the information that remains unsupplied. The aspect that, and again, it's under instruction, that she's referred to me, and I've got a duty to place it before the commission, is that over the last day or so, I was in a position where I had to face certain questions and answer to certain allegations without having all the information at my disposal. Yes, while saying that, I did point out to her that the opportunity remains for us, not the opportunity, but it's mandatory almost now to go ahead and do your supplementary statement, and that will sort out the complaint you have. She says, what about the perception that has been created of me as a public figure over the last day? And I said to her, that is unfortunately something we can't do. We can't turn back the clock, but what we can do is use the next 3 to 4 days and optimize the opportunity to do a detailed supplementary statement, annexing anything that is important, as was illustrated over the last 2 days.
But what you are referring to as to the perceptions that people out there may have, that does not go to the content of the evidence before us, nor does it go to how we will, in the end, assess that evidence. So in that regard, she will not suffer any prejudice. Are you suggesting that she will still suffer prejudice in that context? That is all that we as commissioners are interested in.
And I agree.
Do you accept that she will?
I fully accept what you say, Commissioner, and I've brought it to her attention that what's of critical importance is the report that comes out of the commission, not what members of the public perceive. And I think that is the more important part, and the supplementary statement provides for that. So in that regard, we're happy.
I don't participate in social media, Dr. Mashazi, but the little bit that I do get to hear is that people who participate in social media will, whatever you may think or like, have views of whoever. So even if you had come here 100% prepared, having all the documents you need, they would still have had views about you, Dr. Mashazi. Unfortunately, we cannot do anything about that. But from where we are sitting, we want to eliminate. I will not say ameliorate, to eliminate all possible prejudice. And your attorney, Mr. Musa, says that if we avail you all the opportunities that I've repeatedly referred to, that prejudice will be eliminated. That's all that we as commissioners here are interested in. You understand?
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Musa, unless there's anything else you wish to add.
Nothing further. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just perhaps one last issue. The undertaking to provide the supplementary statement by Monday, that will be the 8th of December. Does that stand?
I actually forgot. I wanted to say, when we said this about the Friday deadline, that was yesterday. It's Tuesday now. And we have no idea how long it will take to source the documents. Even prepared to extend the Friday deadline. Mr. Musa, how is Wednesday next week?
Acceptable, suitable, it's longer than we had. No complaints, Commissioner, that would be appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Then the deadline is extended.
I don't think Mr. Musa had a choice because the chair probably forgot. The undertaking was Monday next week, not
Was
Friday.
it?
So you just gave him an extra 2 days, and I will not quibble with that. So Wednesday next week, we take it.
I'm 60-something, so yeah.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Mr. Musa. We are desperately trying to deal with question 12. You had indicated that there is a requirement, whether it's a policy requirement or from some other prescript, that imposes a duty upon a person of your position as the city manager, that if you appoint acting persons to any position, it must be on a rotational basis. So you have no election. It has to be on a rotational basis. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did I understand you correctly?
Correct.
Is it that strict, or is it a suggestion merely that preferably you rotate?
Correct.
No, they can't both be correct, Dr. Mashaz. The first inquires whether it's a strict requirement, so it is imposed on you, you have no choice, or whether it is like a guidance note for senior managers to consider, which I would then, if that is the case, accept that it would suggest that where possible, rotation is preferable. Which of the two?
Thank you for the question. It's a policy directive that we must all apply.
Try and rotate.
Yeah, apply.
And in which document would we find that?
I do not have it now. I think I will request HR to furnish us with the document.
That's Mr. Musa's list growing. Thank you. It's the record notes. Now let's get back to the period of 6th to the 17th of May. You at the time had a choice of 3 deputies to appoint from: Mr. Gwabe, Mr. Spies, and Mr. Mkwanazi. You chose Mr. Mkwanazi. For the record, that was the most junior of the 3. He, having been appointed to this controversial post sometime in December the previous year. So that made him the youngest of the 3 deputies in terms of service, period of service. Am I correct?
Correct.
Ma'am?
Correct.
Oh. And you say he was qualified. On what basis do you make the claim that he was qualified? Purely by virtue of occupying that position, or on any other basis?
For the fact that he occupied the position of Deputy Chief of Police, he qualified.
And then you conclude by saying there was no investigation against him. Is that correct?
Correct.
And where do we then place the IPID report and its recommendations, insofar as what you call investigations are concerned?
Remember the IPED report, the initial advice was that he was cleared. And this is at the point where we're dealing with the issues of actually addressing the IPED report. And this is at the point where Julius was already being appointed as the Deputy Chief of Police. And if an individual is cleared, and number two, by then the Chief of Police withdrew his suspension and withdrew his DC. So at this point in time, he was cleared and he qualified to be appointed in the acting position.
Okay, I understand what you said. Mine is whether the IPID report and its recommendation was a factor you took into consideration in deciding to appoint him out of the three. Because the IPID report was alive with its recommendations that he be disciplined.
I think I responded extensively yesterday about the IPID report and my position then compared to the current position.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I was just trying to get a sense, because you referenced an internal audit report in your February 25 interview that you alleged had cleared Mr. Mkwanazi. We don't have that report. You could not provide any guidance to us on how we could locate such a report. We are aware of, and witnesses have testified to this, in particular, I think Mr. Ngiza and Chief Mapieye, about the appointment of a forensic investigation by an entity called the forensic firm. We are aware of that. Are you?
From the evidence, I'm aware.
At the time, you were not?
I was not aware at the time.
To the extent then that it may be relevant, that report is dated 20th of June 2024. So he kind of been cleared by that report at the time the appointment to act was made. So the IPID report and its implications were still on the table, so to speak, at the time you appointed him. Was that not a factor that was important for you to take into consideration? Compounded by the fact that of the three, he was the youngest at that particular level.
Can you repeat your question?
At the time you made the decision to appoint him, the IPID report was, as I say, quote unquote, still alive. And we know what it recommended. It recommended disciplinary action. We know at the time that it had not been quote unquote set aside, not by any internal process, if it ever could, or by the forensic investigation exercise conducted by the forensic firm, because that report comes only on the 20th of June 2024, when he has completed his acting appointment. So I want to understand whether you had any appreciation at the time you effected the appointment of the existence of the IPID report, its recommendations, and the implications of appointing him to such a senior post, notwithstanding that report being on the table still.
I think yesterday we discussed this extensively, where the decision or the authority to discipline Julius was within the hands of the Chief of Police. And at that point, Chief of Police was in possession of the IPID report. And in terms of my understanding and my assertion yesterday, or my evidence, I indicated that I took the report to legal, and legal indicated that the report is insufficient and no action will be taken. At the point of his appointment as acting, I did not have anything against him.
So then you concluded that for purposes of determining who to appoint, it was not necessary for you to take the IPID report into consideration. That's the only point I seek to make.
Correct.
Okay. And for the record, we dealt with the letter written by You said they are members of Mr. Bihari's department, addressed to IPID, Mr. Zulu and Mr. Makwiting. But that is dated the 13th of December 2023, and you testified that that letter was actually never dispatched to IPID.
This is the information verbally I got from HOD Legal, that it was their internal communication and that letter was leaked. So I would request that we park that and we get proper information from the HOD Legal, because he will be coming to testify about that letter, and that letter was never addressed to me. Can I request that we park that and that letter be ventilated with the HOD responsible?
I'm happy to, except here's my challenge. I don't know if you are correct or whether you'll accept the correctness of what you are told when it is claimed that this was an internal letter. It's addressed to IPID from the city of Ekurhuleni. And by any stretch of the imagination, that can never be called an internal letter. Can you accept that? I do appreciate that's what you were told. You saw the letter, you know it's addressed to IPID. And an HOD within Ekurhuleni tells you it's an internal letter. It doesn't make any logical sense. Surely you would accept if I invited you to reject that proposition that it was an internal letter.
Surely also, HOD Legal should speak to that letter, because that is the advice verbally that I received from him. That's why I'm requesting that we park the letter and request him, because it is his subordinates that are writing that letter between themselves and IPID. And if we can look at the letter, I was not copied. I only saw the letter now in the bundles of Mr. Nwiza.
No, I confirm for the record that you were not copied. I guess I just wanted to test your understanding based on what you testified to say that you were told it's an internal letter, you saw the letter. But if you accept what you were told, that is internal letter, notwithstanding the fact that it's addressed to IPID, I'll accept that. Is that your position?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Dr. Mashazi, does it mean when the head of legal, Advocate Behari, tells you a letter that you're looking at, and you can see it's addressed to IPID, it's dated, it's signed by his people, but it's addressed external to the department and to the municipality, are you telling us that notwithstanding what you see on the face of that letter, you don't ask questions? You don't say to the HOD, what do you mean? It's an internal letter, I can see. It's addressed to IPID. You just accept, because that's what he tells you as the HOD of legal.
Thank you, Commissioner. The letter, as I indicated, that the letter, I saw it now through the bundles from Mr. Nwiza as part of his evidence. I subsequently called the HOD. And remember, now I'm outside the system where I cannot give instruction or do anything. I can only ask and inquire that there is this letter in the bundle. What does this letter mean? Where is it from? Because I did not see it during my tenure as an accounting officer. His answer was it was an internal memo between themselves. The letter was not yet sent to IPID, and I think he is better placed to come and respond to that letter.
So you just, your answer is you accept it, even though you're looking at the letter. You can see it's addressed to IPID. You accept it when he said to you, no, it's an internal note.
I accept
That's
it.
all I'm checking with you.
I accept it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Dr. Mashazi. If you have regard to page 23, question 12, there were sub-questions to that question. And
maybe before you do the sub-questions, let me just maybe make an overall observation and ask you for your comment. This appointment that you've been discussing, this acting appointment that you've been discussing with Ms. Sello, now knowing what you know now, which is the appointment of Brigadier Mkhwanazi is in fact irregular because he didn't complete the competency test and therefore he could not have been appointed. That's your evidence as we understand it. or as I understand it. You know that now. You've also said yesterday in your evidence that you accept, knowing what you know now, that Behari's advice to you that the IPID recommendation is vague, has no basis. Now you know that it wasn't your language was it's not helpful to you. You accept that it was wrong. Knowing all of that, do you accept that the appointment of Brigadier Mkhwanazi by you to act after that appointment, that invalid appointment, that appointing him to act as Chief of Police was in fact an irregularity?
I accept.
You accept that? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. And once again, before I move to the sub-questions of question 12, can I just complete or quickly address one aspect as regards the main question 12? For this purpose, I would like you to locate Mapieye annexure file. And in particular, I would like to, you to draw your attention to JM 33, which starts at page 182.
142.
183. Go to 183. You recall I referenced an investigation report by an entity called the forensic firm when we were discussing the appointment of Mr. Mkhwanazi as acting chief of police.
Page 183.
183.
Okay. That's 82, and then is JM 34.
You don't have page 183?
83, no, I don't have.
Oh no, I'm told it's the correct tab is JM 34. Apologies for the confusion. It's JM 34.
JM 34.
Yes, you're on the right document.
Yes.
So can you confirm that that is the investigation report by the forensic firm?
Forensic firm. Can I look at the document? The purpose. The investigation made against the purchase of. Yes, I.
Now, when I indicated that to the extent that reliance may be placed on this document to suggest that Mr. Mkhwanazi was cleared, I suggested to you that we can't put any reliance on this particular document because, as you can tell from the bottom of the page 183, it was only generated on the 20th of June 2024. So it's not a factor you'd have taken into consideration in appointing Brigadier Mkhwanazi in May 2024. You remember that conversation we had?
I remember.
Thank you. And you commented, I think, on that score that you only found out about this report here in the commission. Did you?
This one?
Yeah. Yes, yes.
The investigation by Majang attorneys.
I don't know if
or
it's
the investigation by.
The face of it, it says the forensic firm, and I'm happy to refer to it in that fashion.
Can you rephrase your question?
I said when I referenced this document, and I may have been mistaken, I understood you to say that you became aware of its existence only at the commission.
No, not this one. This one, it was about the breach of information. This one, I know about it.
Okay.
Protecting.
You know it because you actually commissioned for it.
Yeah, I know about the first part where internal audit investigated the breach of information in terms of the POPIA. The report I know, but the report by Madlanga attorneys, I've never had both side of.
Did I refer you to a report by Madlanga?
Madlanga attorneys. And payment to
Ms.
Madlanga
Silo,
attorneys.
I guess that's because of what appears to be the subject of this. See, page 183, City of Ekurhuleni on the left.
Yes.
And there you see forensic investigation report into blah, blah, blah. And towards the end, Madlanga Incorporated. I think that's what Dr. Mashazi is alluding to.
But even that heading, Chair, states relating to the engagement of and payments to. That's how Madlanga attorneys. So she's referencing, as I understand her, to a report by Madlanga attorneys. And I say,
okay.
At least in my engagement with her, I've never raised such a report, and neither has she. What report is that you are referring to?
No, I see here, maybe I misread about Madlanga Incorporation, about May, August, the Act of Irregularities. Maybe I'm, okay, can we go ahead? Apologies, can we go ahead with the question?
No, I accept. So it was a mistake on your part by referencing Madlanga attorneys,
Yeah,
report.
it was
There
incorrect.
isn't one such. Okay. No, I accept that. Okay, then let's continue on your statement. Yes. Yeah, no, we still need Mapia, so don't close the file, please, or don't put it very far. We are now dealing with the bottom of your page 23 from paragraph 140, and there you address yourself to the question of you're providing comments on the alleged appointments of 55 people into the service by Brigadier Mkwanazi and the validity of those appointments. That appears at your bottom of page 23. You see that?
Yes, I see this.
And you were invited to comment about the appointment of these 55. And the reason is because Mr. Chief Mapieye and Mr. Spies, in the course of their testimony, contended that these appointments are irregular for a number of reasons. One, either they were effected to posts not previously advertised, but most importantly, they were effected by Mr. Mkwanazi in whatever position he held at the time, without the authorization of the Chief of Police. And that is why your comment is invited on the validity thereof, if you accept, for the moment, that that is the circumstances under which they were effected. And you give a response. Correct?
Correct.
You do so in your paragraphs 140 to 143. And perhaps you may want to summarize what your response is.
Okay. As I indicated in terms of the systems of delegations, these recruitments do not form part of my scope or authority as an accounting officer. These are junior officials, the 155 that were appointed. And I think we have addressed this in terms of Annexure IM6, where the chief wrote to me about his unhappiness about this appointment. Can we go to IM6?
IM6 is your annexure file.
Annexure 5.
Perhaps, let me just interrupt you. IM6, as we have it, is actually the list of questions that
it's
were,
list of
yes.
questions. The letter, can you assist me?
I shall. So your IM6 and your reference thereto, you say that I note from Annexure IM6 that I am invited to comment on the validity of this recruitment and promotions.
Yes.
Yeah. apologize. And you conclude, you continue and say, this would not be fair as I was not involved in the process and my knowledge is limited to what I have read in the media and the questionable evidence provided by Chief Mapieye. That's what you state?
Correct, yes.
Why do you call it questionable evidence?
Sorry, can I help you?
Yes.
Page 52 of MAPIA's annexures.
Yes, I'm going to JM 8 and 9 thereafter. Thank you, Commissioner. On your we'll get to the page that the Commissioner is referencing. On your paragraph 143, with regard to Chief Mapieye's evidence, you term it questionable evidence provided by Chief Mapieye. Out of interest, why do you call it questionable? And particularly on this score, why do you consider it questionable? Leave aside everything else he testified to, but about these appointments.
Remember, at the point where we wrote this particular statement, we did not have a letter that Chief Mapieye actually complained about the positions. So can I request that we go to his letter so that I am able to address you properly? Okay, no, I'm happy to. And I take it by going to his letter, you are then able to explain why you call his evidence questionable. Okay. It's not okay, it's a question, Dr. Mashazi. Yeah? Will you be able then to answer the question? I will be able to answer after. Then, perhaps the best starting point is, let's start with Chief Mapieye's own statement. Chief Mapieye's statement, and we will work our way to the document that you want. I'm trying. So if you could lay your hands on the statement. My statement Chief or his Mapieye's statement, and to go to page 10, please. Page 10, 10. And I want to draw your attention in particular to paragraph 32. Do you see where, have you located it? And that is where Chief Mapieye introduces this issue of the appointment of the 55. And he states that these appointments and or promotions were effected without his involvement as the Chief of Police. Do you see that in the paragraph? Yes, and then he describes, he touches on some of the flaws attaching to those appointments and the fact that the last sentence in that paragraph, the appointments were in large part drawn from members of the unit which Brigadier Mkwanazi headed. See where I'm reading? Yes. Now, if you turn over leaf to paragraph 31 at page 11, he then states, I lodged my objections formally with the city manager on 5th June 2024, pointing out that the appointments by Brigadier Mkwanazi are invalid. A copy of this objection is marked JM8. So now we go to Mapieye's annexure bundle and we locate JM8, which you will find at page 51. Page? 51. And that is the letter from Chief Mapieye, dated the 5th of June 2024, and it is addressed to you, Dr. I.M. Mashazi, City Manager, City of Ekurhuleni. You see that? Correct. He raises some issues there, but in particular, I would like to draw your attention to paragraph 3, that starts with the words, what is sought. Do you see where I'm reading? Correct, I think. And he states, for that purpose, and I quote, what is sought is to bring to your attention, City Manager, as the accounting officer, to the recent promotional positions which took place within the department of Brigadier, Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel, superintendents, and inspectors, respectively. He continues, next paragraph, it is legislated under Section 64C 2B of the Subs Act 68, 1995, and common practice that when employees are promoted in the department, as the municipal commissioner must confer the promotional ranks
must confer the promotional ranks to the successful / promoted workforce. Next paragraph, it says, to my dismay and surprise, observed on the 4th of June 2024, members of the department wearing their promotional ranks. When probing, I was informed that they were conferred by the Deputy Commissioner. That is the letter you acknowledge receipt of. Correct. On the 5th of June. And at his paragraph 34, he does state that the city manager responded to my letter, this very one we just went through, on the 6th of June. And that letter he annexes as JM9. That now should start at your page 52. And I think that is the letter you wanted to get to and speak to in some detail.
Correct.
This is the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, thank you very much. In relation to this appointment, at the point of us writing the statement, we do not have this evidence. As I indicated that I left the city in July, you cannot recall everything that really happened in 2024. I think the Commission will agree with me. Yes, he wrote a letter to me and I responded, and I'm going to talk to the content of the letter. I have responded to Chief Mapeya on the 5th of June 2024. On the 6th of June 2024, he wrote to me on the 5th, and I immediately responded that I confirmed that they had a meeting with HR, and I also noted his reference to section 64C2B, and I fully agree with him that it is within his powers during such appointments that he must be consulted. This, my comment, it is about the Subs-Act 64C, read together with the Municipal Systems Act and also read together with the systems of delegations, that certain positions, especially junior positions, are actually delegated to his subordinates. But what is of concern is that the Chief of Police was never consulted, because in terms of the legislation, he was supposed to be consulted irrespective of the level of the position or promotional positions that were being filled. The issue that they do not qualify, well, it is an HR issue, and I think Gashega must talk to it. I even indicated to Chief in terms of this letter that it is unfortunate that the EMPD has a peculiar arrangement in terms of the SEFS Act. And that act, it is actually not well integrated with our Municipal Systems Act as well as the Systems Act. And I indicated there in my last paragraph that I therefore thank you for drawing this to my attention, and kindly request that you commence the drafting of a policy that can actually assist us to address such matters. From my part, I commit to also engaging the Deputy Chief of Police, Mkhwanazi, and other staff members to ensure that the position and authority of senior managers is respected at all times. Because the gist of the matter in this, the Chief of Police was never consulted in terms of his letter. He was never consulted by Mkhwanazi. He was on duty, Chief of Police. Mkhwanazi was not acting, and he went ahead to appoint these officials. And the act is very clear that it must be in consultation with him, irrespective of the systems of delegation. That's why it is important for us to have a policy that will actually assist us to actually clear some of the challenges and the gray areas when dealing with municipal processes in line with the SEFS Act. That is the content of my response to Chief of Police.
Thank you for that. My first question, I guess, is you insist that the SUBS Act, and I take it that reference to the SUBS Act specifically is reference to Section 64C of the SUBS Act. Did I understand you correctly that you suggest that section or the Act itself requires that the Chief of Police be consulted prior to appointment being made? Because if that is what you are suggesting, even before you answer, I'm telling you are wrong. Because Section 64C bestows the power to appoint on the Chief of Police himself. It says absolutely nothing about the requirement by anybody to confer with him or consult him before that person effects appointment. Do you have a response to that?
Yeah, my argument is that SEPS Act, in terms of our processes, municipal processes, must be read in conjunction with the Municipal Systems Act as well as the systems of delegations. And I have actually submitted, and we've gone through the systems of delegations where it indicates that the level of appointment and the level of authority in terms of the department. I've indicated yesterday that Chief of Police is appointed under the Municipal Systems Act, and in as much as we do not want to undermine the SEPS Act, we need to integrate the two. Hence, my suggestion to Chief of Police is, please provide us with a policy to assist us that we do not overstep your mandate in terms of our processes as a municipality, as a sphere of government, as well as the SEPS Act.
Oh, okay. So, based on the clarification you've just provided, I should accept that your reference to Section 64C as requiring consultation with the Chief of Police is a mistake. You did not intend to refer to that particular section. You wanted to refer to the Systems Act for that purpose. Would I be correct to understand that?
I'm referring to both legislations, that both legislations, in terms of our processes, they are not well integrated. Hence, we need a policy to bridge a gap. Remember, the SEPS Act allows chiefs to appoint from inspector level up to a DH level,
Yes.
up to his deputies. And you can imagine how many officers are appointed. Hence, there is a Systems Act in terms of our protocol as a municipality to ensure that the Chief of Police is not occupied by sitting in interviews of junior officials while there are other pressing matters that he's supposed to do. Likewise, other HODs. This is not only applicable to Chief of Police. Hence, in my last paragraph, I requested him, because their situation is very peculiar, I requested him to come up with a policy to assist us, to especially assist the Systems Act as well as the systems of delegation, so to say, because the Act is an act of Parliament. It cannot be interpreted or be changed by the Chief of Police.
Yes.
We can only participate when an act of Parliament is amended.
And in fact, my comment was favorable to you, because I was saying I had taken issue with what I understood to be your interpretation of Section 64C of the SAPS Act, suggesting that there is a requirement that somebody can effect appointments. They need only consult with the Chief of Police. That's what I'd understood. So based on your explanation, I say the error you made was you didn't mean to refer to Section 64 to make that point. You intended to refer to the Systems Act.
Correct.
Okay. I just didn't want to leave it that way on the record.
Can I just
Yes,
can I just understand so the SAPS Act gives the Chief of Police the power to appoint and make promotions. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are you saying that that power of the Chief of Police in Ekurhuleni was taken from him by way of your delegation of authorities? You removed that power from him and gave it to, say, in this case, it was given to a position in which Brigadier Mkhwanazi is to appoint junior people. Am I understanding that evidence correctly?
That is the understanding of our municipal systems of delegations.
Yes, so you're saying to me, I'm just wanting to make sure there's no trick to it. I just want to make sure that I understand your evidence.
Correct.
Your evidence is that a power given by the SAPS Act was taken through your delegation systems and given to a Brigadier Mkwanazi kind of position to appoint junior people. I'm correct to understand you that way?
I've indicated from the beginning that we have this SEPS Act, which is peculiar and which we acknowledge. And we also have Municipal Systems Act. I've also indicated the autonomy of the of any municipality or of local government. I've also added the fact that any municipality would have systems of delegations which they approve. So the approval of the systems of delegations needs to be implemented because these are delegations that are approved by a municipal council, a council that has both appointed me and chief. Maybe I think, as I indicated, that it's an area that needs to be addressed in terms of the two legislation, its applicability in the municipality, looking into the powers that are vested within the Municipal Systems Act.
I think my question is really as simple as this. The SAPS Act gives the Chief of Police certain powers, and those powers include appointment. Sorry, Dr. Mashazi, if you would just look this way so that I see that you're paying attention,
I have
please.
a backache, ma'am. My back.
Yeah, I just need your face facing me so that I know I'm speaking to you. So what I'm asking is the SAPS Act, and I just want to make sure that you and I understand you correctly. The SAPS Act gives the Chief of Police powers to appoint and to promote. I think there's no controversy there. I think that's your testimony. You accept that's what he does. And what I'm checking is you are saying that power, which is binding on the municipality, right? That power in the SAPS Act, you are saying the municipality, in fact, took it through its powers of delegation system. It exercised its authority to delegate functions, and in doing so, it took that power in the SAPS Act and gave it to a Brigadier Mkwanazi position to appoint juniors.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chief Mapieye, on his statement, you don't have to go there in dealing with this very response you gave to his letter, JM9. He concludes, I'll read it into the record for you at paragraph 34. He concludes that the effect of this letter you wrote is that you lent support to Brigadier Mkwanazi's conduct of making appointments without my approval and or at times my knowledge. He says that's the sum effect of your letter. You are lending your approval to Brigadier Mkwanazi's conduct as he complained of making these appointments without his Chief Mapieye's approval and or at times his knowledge. Is that a fair assessment of your letter by Chief Mapieye? That technically you lent support to Brigadier Mkwanazi's conduct in the appointment of these 55?
The content of my letter, it is in relation with the powers within the delegation, the systems of delegation. And I relied on the systems of delegation. Hence, through yesterday's testimony, I continuously refer to both legislation as well as the systems of delegation. So I think it's an area that council must look into and ensure that both legislations are integrated. And I can no longer comment on this. I think I have ventilated everything in terms of my understanding about the systems of delegations as well as the powers of the Chief of Police in terms of the SEPS Act and as well as the Systems Act.
But what you're addressing right now is your justification for doing so. And I do accept that you base it on your understanding of the legal position at the time. I don't quibble with that. Whether or not your understanding was right or wrong, that's not the debate we are having. And I know you've addressed that issue, and you just did now again. I'm saying Chief Mapieye says, on the reading of your response, when you respond to his complaint that Mkwanazi effected 55 illegal appointments, the interpretation and sum total of your response is to lend support to Brigadier Mkwanazi's conduct. That's Chief Mapie's interpretation. And my question to you is he being fair to you to understand your letter that way? Did you lend support, or did you object to those appointments as effected by Brigadier Mkwanazi?
The 55 positions are actually under review as we speak, and I will...
So sorry, I missed that you spoke softly.
The 55
Yeah.
positions, as we speak, they are under review by the municipality.
May I stop you, Dr. Mashazian? It's because you are telling me about others. I'm asking about you. Can we confine ourselves to the issue? I'm giving you an opportunity to say whether or not Chief Mapie is being fair to you to say technically you supported Brigadier Mkwanazi. And I'm posing a direct question to you. Did you support Brigadier Mkwanazi in this conduct or not? So don't tell me about a review that's currently undergoing in an environment that you are no longer a part of. Would you like to comment on that?
I commented by saying my letter to Chief Mapie was based on the systems of delegation. And I do not want to comment whether he makes an assumption that I was in support or not. And I therefore want to close by saying that I do not have a comment over his assumption that I supported or not supported. But looking at the process, that he was not consulted as well as an HOD responsible for appointing in terms of the Act, but looking at the systems of delegations that empowers a lower level to him to do the appointment. The legality of whether people qualified and whatever, well, it is unfortunate and it will be irregular if that is the case, that some of the people that were appointed did not qualify or the appointments were irregular.
Okay.
Sorry, Advocate.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Mashazi, it seems to me then that we don't need to have a long debate on this issue, because even on your construction, the mere fact that he did not consult, I'm not suggesting that your construction is correct. I'm simply saying even on your construction, the fact that he did not consult the chief of police means he did something wrong. But now this letter appears to suggest that you didn't take action against him and therefore you lent support to whatever wrong that he did. And you can either say yes or no. Either you lended support or you did not.
I did not lend support to his appointment. In my letter it's clear, and thank you very much for reminding me about my letter. It's clear that he did not consult the chief of police and he was reprimanded, that he must respect the authority. The chief of police is the HOD of the department. So the assertion that I supported him, I cannot agree that I did supported him in view of the letter that I have written. And I thought I have answered the question. And okay, let me stop there.
Thank you, Commissioner Kumalu. I understand your response. My question is, you say you don't lend support, you accept on a different basis that the appointments were invalid because he did not consult the chief of police.
Agreed.
Did you direct that they being invalid in law be reversed? Did you ensure that that process takes place? Because I'm sure you will not support the continuation in office of illegally appointed people. What action did you take, or what steps did you take to satisfy yourself as city manager that that illegal act was reversed?
Nothing.
Why not?
I don't recall whether I did something or nothing.
No, you've said nothing already. So
Yeah.
you don't recall. What don't you recall?
I meant to say I do not recall. I withdraw nothing. I do not recall.
You don't recall what, Dr. Mashazi? Whether you did anything about it or not?
Exactly.
You don't recall?
Exactly.
On this very serious matter of 55 employees that have been promoted, your chief of police raises that very important issue, which has huge financial implications for the municipality, in addition to legal complications of the validity of these appointments. Your chief of police raises that with you in writing. You respond, you say, I will speak to Brigadier Mkhwanazi. You sit now, you want the commission to accept that you don't recall whether you did anything about it.
This matter happened in which year? I think you'll appreciate the fact that we were given 2 days, and some of the things, some of the information at hand, we could not even verify. And the letter, I saw it now in the bundle during the commission that Chief indeed wrote to me. That's when I recall that I wrote back to him. The issue of calling Kanazi, but that was the last discussion that I had with Chief. I do not recall other things, and I do not want to commit and lie that I did it or I didn't do it. Hence, I'm saying I do not recall. And can we be given a chance to go back and check if indeed there was communication between myself and Mkhwanazi about this behavior?
I don't have any difficulty with you asking for an opportunity to go and check and add it to your list, but I do have a problem when you sit there and you say, I don't recall. And that's, you're prepared to say that and leave it at that. I think that is a problem. It raises issues, for me at least, about, are you taking this process seriously? Did you come here to assist the commission? And answers like, I don't recall, on such an important issue where you've had the opportunity to refresh your memory when you saw these letters. You refreshed your memory. You sit and you say, I don't recall. It suggests to me that you may not be taking this process as seriously as we are taking it. You can comment if you want to, but I'm happy if you choose not to say anything.
No comment.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think to the extent that you have any of the MAPA files open before you may close that, because we are moving to question 9 now. Question 9, so we, for the moment, can put away the MAPA files, both the statement and the annexure. Question 9, which starts at your page 20, invited you to speak to the amendment to the scope and powers of the divisional head, employee relations, and your role in it. Do you see where I'm reading?
Correct.
Now, you give a response to that specific questions from your paragraph 113 to 118.
Correct.
Can you summarize effectively what your response is to that question?
Firstly, the issue about the amendment to the scope and powers of divisional head, it's about employee relation, it's about cost containment. Cost containment because this particular department had a lot of labor issues to an extent that during the adjustment budget is always allocated to assist them, and that budget seemed not to be enough. And as we speak, some of the attorneys are not yet paid for rendering services to the municipality, mainly because the fees, and there was no structure in terms of the fees in the appointment of these attorneys. Then we suggested that to curtail even the fees because the fees were exorbitant. The DH had powers to appoint any attorney, any law firm to assist him, and they were paid at the rate that he decided upon. Then we centralized that the function to say the legal and corporate do have a panel of attorneys, and they have a specific rate which is affordable to the municipality. And such attorneys should be utilized to assist the labor relations, because for us it was an issue of budget. And we have records where they over exceeded their budget. And we have a lot of complaints from lawyers. I remember on top of my head, it's the Mohasho attorneys at some point, they were not paid. I don't know if they're paid now. They were dealing with labor issues. So we had to actually amend this. But there's also internal communication between HOD, HR, and his divisional head, and her divisional head. Then employee relation about the delegations of appointing attorneys and so forth. But my duty was to ensure that we curtail cost because budget was an issue.
Thank you for that. I see at your paragraph 115, you deal with the primary purpose of the amendment, and you say it was to escalate, was to curtail escalating legal costs. And you continue to say the attorneys independently appointed by departmental heads were charging significantly higher fees than those on the city's approved panel, which operated on a standardized regulated rates.
Correct.
So I don't understand what exactly were you amending, because it sounds like the issue was to prohibit the appointment of expensive attorneys and to impose on all departments to make their selection from the city's approved panel. Was that not the solution to the problem? Based on what you say here.
Yeah, the solution was to obviously curtail costs, especially in this particular department. Though the memo went to all the departments that they can't appoint their own legal reps. There's a panel that is appointed at a specific rate, which is affordable to the city. That is where I came in.
And that was the extent of the amendment?
Correct, ma'am.
But otherwise, besides directing that appointments be made from the panel, the attorneys panel, you didn't effect any other changes?
Changes in relation to his powers?
Yes.
I don't recall. Can we see his?
Okay, let's see. We will do
his
so with reference to Niza's statement. If you can get your hands on Niza's statement. Not the annexures, just the statement.
Page.
And if you are there, if you go to page 24. And from page 24, paragraph 74, in this statement, Mr. Niza deals with the B2B anonymous email. And just to summarize, what his testimony is that these emails were received from this person or this entity that called itself B2B on the 20th of August 2023. And if you look at paragraph 76, he cites, he quotes the email, but my interest is at page 25. My interest is at page 25. The last line of the italized quotation there, which reads, I am told from reliable sources that Imogen Mashazi, who's the city manager, is the one who's protecting Julius Mkwanazi. Now they've excised that from the actual Bitli email received. If you look at paragraph 74, Mr. Ngwiza testified that you were copied on this email. And the subject line of the email was favoritism and corruption within the city. So this happens on the 20th of August, 2023. Mr. Ngiza suggests that on the 21st of August 2023, you called for a meeting with inter alia him, and I want to check whether, did you?
The answer is no.
So, at paragraph 79, page 25, when Mr. Ngiza says, that very morning I received a call from Ms. Kasheka instructing me to drop everything and immediately get to the office of the city manager. Then he had to go there. So that meeting, did that meeting take place?
I don't recall, and I cannot comment on his say. I need proof from him that meeting occurred and where and what time.
Do you recall such meeting occurring in the 365 days of 2023? Not necessarily the date he's giving, in any day of 2023. You make your election of 365 days of 2023. Do you recall having a meeting as described by Mr. Ngiza in that year?
I don't.
You don't? Yes. Completely and utterly. So it was purely coincidental that the Bitli emails come in. In those emails, it is alleged that you specifically, as the city manager, are the one protecting Julius Mkhwanazi. The next day, this meeting is called, and according to Mr. Ngiza, at 82, he arrived in Germiston to your boardroom. You asked if he knew Bitli. He denied knowledge, and you accused him point blank that he had leaked the charge sheet to Bitli, alternatively that he, Mr. Ngiza, is Bitli. You deny all that?
I do.
So you effect the amendment on the next day, on the 22nd of August. And the effect of that amendment that you've just spoken to, which earlier you said was all about how to appoint attorneys, resulted in stripping Mr. Ngiza of all his powers regarding appointment of attorneys. How did that come about? And why was it relevant to do so?
Okay, thank you very much. Now you give me an opportunity to address this thing fully. Mr. Ngiza...
What will not happen, I'm sorry, Dr. Mashazi, I'm not giving you a platform to have a rally. I asked you a specific question. So far, you did not recall. I'm asking you a specific question. Why did, on your own version, if your version is that you were doing so as a cost-cutting measure to ensure that only persons or attorneys listed on the approved panel are appointed, why did it require such an extensive amendment to the point that it stripped Mr. Ngiza of all his powers to appoint? Where is the connection between what you allege at 115 and the effect that it had on Mr. Ngiza?
So you take the connection that I did this to protect Mkhwanazi so that Ngiza doesn't appoint attorneys. Is that your assertion?
I don't have an assertion. I'm telling you what Mr. Ngiza says. You don't recall. I'm telling you what Mr. Ngiza says the effect is. You don't recall. I go to the statement you made to say mine was just a cost-cutting exercise. And I say, I don't understand why that cost-cutting exercise, as you have alleged, could in any manner result in Mr. Ngiza being stripped of his powers. Now you turn around and say, this is a good opportunity to address, and I'm stopping you from any address that you want to make. You can make the address at a different time, but for the moment, I need an answer to my question.
Okay, the answer to your question is Mr. Ngiza had an opportunity for a year to concoct his statement and correlate all the documents that are here, and I was given 2 days to actually respond to all the allegations that they made. That is my answer to that. And I cannot accept that there's correlation between the cost-cutting measures that I am indicating in my statement, and the relationship between the Bixi and Mr. Ngiza's assertion. I do not accept Mr. Ngiza's assertion, and I do not want to comment on it. And I am not accepting that there's correlation of my response or my ability to cut costs in terms of legal fees as a way of protecting any person and as a way of actually curtailing powers of an individual. I reject the assertion.
Did you, Dr. Mashazi, did you substantially curtail Mr. Nziza's powers?
No, Commissioner.
So he was not telling the truth when he said you did?
That I did curtail the powers. I only addressed the issue of cost, Commissioner, where I was concerned. And if you can look at our financial statement or at our finances or in terms of quarterly reports, always on an annual basis, when we do our adjustment budget, the department, especially labor relations, they request additional amount because they cannot pay lawyers. The costs were very high. And the cost in terms of payment of lawyers that are dealing with labor cases were not affordable to the city. Hence, I suggested and I recommended that all the departments, whether it's a divisional head, whether the division is employee relation or whatever, they should actually use the panel of attorneys that are appointed by council at a rate that is affordable to the city. This is the only power, the so-called power, that I am alleged to have curtailed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to close on this, then, at your paragraph 115, page 20, you assert that the primary purpose of the amendment was to curtail escalating legal costs. You don't have to go there, but I want to refer you to a document in Mr. Mwiza's annexures, and it's annexure PN 13, starting at page 311. In fact, please go there. Page 311 of Mwiza's annexures. It's annexure PN 13 for the record. It's a 3-page document, and if you go to page 313, you confirm that's your annexure at the bottom of that page, and it's dated the 22nd August 2023.
Correct, ma'am.
That's your signature, correct? Dr. Mashazi, do you confirm that's your signature?
Yes, it's my signature.
So this document is then the amendment that we've been talking about?
Correct.
Now, at 115, you say the purpose was to curtail escalating legal costs. I want to read a portion for you from that document. And I'm at page 312. At page 312, there are 2 bullet points followed by 2 paragraphs before the numbered paragraphs begin, starting with A1. Do you see where I am?
Yes, I am.
The paragraph immediately above A1 reads as follows. Quote, to usher in expeditious, credible, consistent, and uniform management of discipline within the municipality, the following persons are hereby delegated to perform the above listed functions, as well as all other functions connected therewith as appears from the collective agreement in that regard as the municipal city manager's authorized representatives. And then you list. And Mr. Ngiza contends that it is that part of the delegation, listing A1 to I at page 313 that had the effect of stripping him of all his powers. If one casts a very cursory eye over this document, nowhere does it suggest that its purpose, primary or otherwise, was to curtail escalating legal costs. Why is the issue of cost not part of this amendment or amended delegated powers matrix?
Mr. Ngiza, at his level, as I indicated, that he appointed
I would like us to confirm. I'm under serious time pressures. I'm so sorry. We still have a question to deal with before lunch. I'm confining myself to your 115. where you say the primary purpose was to curtail escalating legal costs. And I'm putting you to you that that is one thing that is missing in this amendment created and drafted by you. And I would like to invite your comment on that. You can cast your eye over it, and if I am wrong, I'll happily accept if you point me to the part where it speaks of curtailing legal costs.
Okay, this delegation, if you are delegated to appoint presiding officers, obviously you'll decide in terms of who you appoint, and secondly, you use your powers to actually decide on the payment fees, payment structure. So Mr. Ngiza used to appoint attorneys, presiding officers, and so forth, and use his own legal structure, legal fee structure, sort of. So the purpose of curtailing these powers, they are mainly related to cost cutting, and for the fact that it is not explicit in the document that the aim was to curtail cost, but the aim was to curtail these powers for a person to decide on who to appoint and to decide on a fee structure, which was problematic for the city. So if the fee structure and the actual appointment are not actually related according to the question asked, and the issue of fees or costs being cut is not explicit in the document, it is unfortunate.
Is it implicit? You say it's not explicit. Is it implicit? And from which wording can it be implied?
I do not have comment on that.
Okay.
I have explained that curtailing these powers, he had powers to appoint attorneys and he had powers to use his own fee structure. And for me as an accounting officer responding to the issues of this nature, I had to do something. That even the appointment of those, remember before you pay anyone or before you decide on a fee structure, you should start by appointing an attorney.
Yes.
And then you decide on a fee structure. Hence, my comment in terms of my statement to say the main aim of changing this was to actually deal with the issue of the budget.
Dr.
I know
Mashazi,
that.
Dr. Mashazi, in that page 312, just above A1, number A1, that seems to set out the purpose of these changes that you are introducing. And I'll assist to read it. It says, to usher in expeditious, credible, consistent, and uniform management of discipline within the municipality, the following persons are delegated to perform the above functions, as well as other functions that appears from the collective agreement. And you list who is authorized to do what. So in that paragraph, you clearly set out what is the purpose. There's no indication of budgetary or cost considerations, one. But two, even these people that you are authorizing here, nowhere do you say their powers to determine what to pay is in any way constrained. So I mean, this doesn't speak to what you're saying at all. Do you accept that?
What I'm saying, ma'am, is that before you could appoint an attorney, obviously you need to go through the processes of appointing an attorney and also look at the fee structure. So you can't just come and say you want to pay this person this amount, or you can't even choose the kind of attorney you want. You need to go through the panel. That's why the function was centralized to the HOD, because she must account to the budget and she must account to the processes.
Yes, I guess what I'm trying to clarify is if the purpose of these changes was to manage the appointment of attorneys from the panel, to make sure they're appointed from the panel, and that a particular fee structure is followed. Why didn't you just simply do that and say, Mr. Ngiza, with effect from day so and so, you will only appoint from the panel and you will appoint in accordance with this approved fee structure? I mean, this seems to be quite a convoluted way to go about it if all you were doing was to manage budgets and the power to stop the power to appoint outside of the panel.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I did not want to go deeper into HR matters. Mr. Ngiza has a history of appointing one single firm, which is Jack Zividiela Attorneys. He had that challenge. And the fees were exorbitant in terms of his fee structure. And we advised him that please use the panel of attorneys, even though he was advised by his HOD to use the panel in the corporate and legal department. He used them, but he paid them differently. The fee structure was different, hence the escalation of this legal cost continued to an extent that we failed to actually pay other attorneys in terms of the work that, the services that they've rendered to the municipality. So we had to do something from the accounting level to ensure